And I think we're live. I have had a very fun day today, guys. Yes, hello Lumi. Hello, nice to see you and everything. I've spent most of today in the garden, pulling up stinging nettles, and of course, despite wearing a nice long overcoat, I managed to get repeatedly stung on the lower arm, right between where my glove joins my sleeve. How many times did stinging nettles manage to creep in underneath? Quite a lot of times, actually. A disturbing and irritating number of times, really. And it was very bothersome to me. In addition to that, I have also discovered a fantastic new upper body workout, and that is to pull out brambles, because brambles, a good well-rooted bramble plant can quite easily withstand about 200 pounds of force. I can lean my entire body weight back on a tough bramble, and it will just sit there and not care in the slightest. There is basically nothing you can do. So to get a nicely well-rooted bramble out, I have to not just lean my entire body weight on it, I also have to pull with all of the strength in my arms to rip it out of the soil. And this is with damp soil, mind you, so the soil is a lot more pliant and easy to work with than normal. So I was doing that for about an hour or so before stream, and after that I felt as if I'd been in the gym for like 2.5 hours. So the reason I'm a tiny bit late is because I went for a shower afterwards, and it takes like 15 to 20 minutes for the water to heat up because we don't have hot water on demand here, because that's very expensive, and when you live on the kind of budget that we do, you don't want to have any electronics running in the house that you don't need to. Give me just one moment as well. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me post about myself on the forum too, because I'm in kind of a rush. Right, everything seems to be good. That sounds absolutely horrifying. Did you make them into soup? No. Nettle soup is a meme. It's like literally the stone soup thing. I don't know if you ever heard about the tale of the stone soup, where it's like an old man pretends that there's a magic stone which makes delicious soup, but you know, this is a very, very powerful stone, and it's not just for everyone. And so in order to dignify a dish, a bowl of stone soup, what you need to do is you have to add all of these exotic ingredients to it beforehand, so, you know, the magic properly works. And of course the joke is that the stone is not magic, it's all the ingredients that he tricks people into adding to the soup that make it taste nice. Like, nettle soup is basically the equivalent of that. Like, nettle soup is only tasty in that you add all these other tasty things to it as well. Hello, Late Proctor. Hello, Eureka. Hello, Arclight. Did I already say hello, Zen Gunman? I can't even remember. I'm rapidly losing my mind, because, guys, there's so much stuff going on. I love how I planned to stream today, and then all of a sudden, Yuko Yurei graduates. And granted, we were expecting it at this point, but I didn't expect it to be on the same day that I streamed, okay? Let me just have a quick look at the Twitter thing for it. Does it actually say, yeah, pretty much standard stuff. Yuko has worked hard to complete all her donathon goals. Yeah, so basically, she was only there long enough to complete her donation goals, and then she was just gone. I do wonder if she planned to leave before she stopped doing the Vtuber stuff. The ghost lolly graduated. Yes, she is gone. Rest in piss, quite literally. I really hate Yuko. I mean, I don't necessarily hate the person behind Yuko, but I'm sorry. Yuko, as a brand, represents everything wrong, I think, with streamer culture. I really hate the audience that she cultivated. I've said it before, but I'll say it again, because I just want to make it absolutely clear. If you took every single one of Yuko's, like, LewdTuber content followers, all the members that tuned in to, like, her piss streams, if you put all of them together in a barn, and you locked the doors, and you set fire to that barn with everyone inside, the only crime you would be guilty of would be arson. and you would pay compensation to the owner of the barn. You would not have killed a single innocent man in that barn. I am ready to take that opinion to my grave. Idol seems so cancerous. Why the hell did Lisa invade it? Idol, from what I have heard, like Kirsha has, like, because Kirsha did a watch along. It's not their new generation now. It's like, no, it was the new generation, like the generation that has people like Roka and that blue raccoon thing that raps is the only ones that I remember from that generation. I probably even mispronounced that name. But yeah, Kirsha was hired and sponsored by Idol to do a watch-along for that, and she said that Idol's support staff were the best that she had ever dealt with in her entire career. They went out of their way to accommodate all of the requests that she had with a speed that was just staggering. Like, within a few hours of her asking things, she got stuff. And they even recommended to her a bunch of, like, artists and asset creators that they used themselves. They said, you know, we can verify that these people are legit because we've worked with them before, so you can use them. And so that was a new thing. That was very impressive. And I think that Idol actually gets a lot of people because of that, because they genuinely do offer very good support from everything that I've heard. I've heard that from several people now. Everybody that says they've had to interact with Idol says that they just have fantastic support for their talents. The Chosen know how to run a business. Yeah, they do seem to be pretty good at that. The issue with Idol seems to be the talents, and I guess by extension, whoever vetted the talents and enabled them. Rin seems fine. Yeah, Rin, I really like Rin. I don't really watch her very much because, you know, I barely have time to watch any VTuber that's not our wonderful white fox. But from everything that I've seen, she is an extremely nice girl, and I am very glad that she has the success that she has, although her choice of mascot with that shark thing will always distress me because the stuff I have seen that shark associated with, let me put it this way, I am never going to turn off my Google safe search when Googling merchandise stuff after that shark thing. Because I decided to just look it up, and yeah, pretty much every single result was it being posed in some kind of fetish scenario, and I'm not even talking about light fetish scenarios. That thing is like the mascot of all traps, basically. If there's like a gay guy out there that likes to cross-dress and can pass convincingly, like one of those Thailand ladyboys, or Thailand ladyboys, I always mispronounce it, like they'll have one of those stupid sharks in the background, and for some reason their results get massively pushed in the search engine. And it's just like, I am never looking up a plushie again after that. Right, the Rex, I don't think Avile has the talent for picking quality people that Fishman does, but with all the cyber live refugees, aka the Mean Girl Company. The Blahaj is the official mascot of the gender specials. Yes, and yeah, they fetish bait with that thing to a very distressing degree. It's really, really, really creepy. And as I was saying, I have been pulling weeds all day. It's very strange, because anybody who follows me on the forum knows that I have, like, housing issues at the moment. It's in arbitration right now. It might go one way, it might go the other, I don't know. But it's funny, because I feel almost as if this is a statement on my behalf that we're not moving anywhere, because I am just determined to get our plot of land to be looking the best that it possibly can. And the last 2 years, because my mother has had cancer, she has not been able to go out on the garden as much as she used to. I mean, she's also in her 70s, so there's that. And it's heavy work taking care of the amount of land that we do, because we've got 2 whole acres. Now, a large proportion of that is grassland, but a significant portion of it as well is also flower beds and scenery gardens, and there's also a vegetable garden, which hasn't seen much use this year, but that's mostly because I've been focusing so much on catching up with the 2 years worth of work that the other garden has. But we're getting there. The people who have not gardened before, you don't understand the satisfaction there is to, like, clearing a patch of land, to getting rid of all the weeds, to breaking up the earth so that There's no roots left for things to continue germinating after they've been dug up. And just stepping back and seeing that patch of earth be free and clean and ready to be planted, it really makes me believe in the Genesis account, which says that mankind was basically put on earth to garden it and turn it into a paradise, because I can fully believe that. And the funny thing is that until a couple of months ago, I didn't really have any interest in gardening whatsoever, and I wouldn't say it's not a couple of months ago, it's like a year or so ago. Last year, late in the year, I started doing a bit of gardening work, but obviously when the rains came and all of that kind of stuff, I stopped doing it. And I've only just recently started back up because we had an exceptionally wet early spring. Do you have a mini tractor with attachments? No. No, it's... The annoying thing is our garden is so unique that I can't post pictures of it without it being incredibly easy to dox. So I am not going to post pictures of it. It's very annoying because our house is unique in pretty much every possible way. I cannot even post photographs of the roof. There's a bunch of pictures that I've taken of birds on my roof that I would love to post, but our roof is... It's such a radically different style from every normal house that you could probably get a pretty decent close match just by putting it into reverse Google image search or something. And looking at drone footage of Ireland. That's the problem with being part of a family that is totally non-conventional in pretty much every way. Every part of your life is very easily traceable. Give me just 1 second, by the way. I need to blow my nose because I am dying of pollen. I am being killed by my hay fever. 1 moment. Ah, there we go. But now, pretty much all of our gardening is done by hand. We don't have a tractor because our garden is very freeform. We don't plant things in neat little rows. We garden in a very, very organic fashion. A very organic fashion. Well, my mother used to be a hippie over 50 years ago, so... But she has very much inherited that style of doing things. Now give me a moment to organize my tabs, because we have quite a few interesting things to go over today. On Wednesday, I think I will be doing a bit of an analysis of this guy called Falter XVTTV, who is an insane person. He is insane on a Spanner level, and except unlike Spanner, he's just about competent at the games that he plays, but he's one of those incredibly small name, unbelievably big ego kind of people. He actively DMCAs everybody who talks about him on the internet. It's almost completely baseless. Like, I don't think a single DMCA has succeeded, but he probably ego searches himself 5 times every single day. It's really hysterical looking into him. He has a 97-page document of his activities out there, which I think is... Oh, I just realized, I'm looking at his Steam profile right now. He's from California. That explains so much. He's also a trap. Like, he streams with a female VTuber model, but yeah, he has the voice of an insane person. And he also, I'm looking at his stream profile, somebody pointed out that he has literally every single achievement from, like, the most degenerate hentai of all Steam. Like, the most disgusting, filthy hentai games you can possibly get on stream. He has all the badges from them. This is a Gooner Knee Plus Ultra, basically. And I think it's going to be rather fun covering this insane little gremlin of a man, but there's just so much stuff out on him. I reached out on Twitter, and a whole bunch of people were talking about him too, so this is not something I just want to jump into right tonight, but there's just a tiny bit of a teaser before we get into anything. Now, we've got a ton of stuff, an absolute ton of stuff to get through, and I thought one of the first couple of things that we can look at can be pretty funny, because the second one is, well, the third one is really, really, really horribly unpleasant in every possible way, and it's very disturbing. But I think it would be very fun to just start with this bit of absolute complete nonsense, which is right here. The progress shark that has become an iconic worldwide pride icon. Now, as Fight With Meme says, the irony of using a fierce predator as a symbol for LGBTQ rights. I actually disagree with the second part of his sentence here. I do not think that the irony is lost on them in any way. Yes, lol, Regal, I absolutely agree. This is a classic moment, because you see, it's very funny, because just in my exploration of VTuber culture, I have now come across a considerable number of LGBTQ individuals, and I would say 1 out of every 5 or 6 is actually quite nice to talk to. Like, for example, I talked to Lennox, and surprisingly enough, like, Charlotte calls herself part of the, like, Charlotte Van Helen, she calls herself part of the LGBTQ movement and stuff. I think that it's mostly, I think she's, I don't know how much she's actually said in public, so I won't put any details on it, but, like, she identifies with that. And I'm crying laughing at that statement. I can't. Wait, what particular statement? Like how much did I say? Like the 1 in 5 or something else? Rose is too based for words. Not VTuber related at all, but did you hear about that leftist fag bashing and slandering Wendigoon and claiming Christians can't make horror? I have vaguely heard of that. I think I saw something about it a couple of hours ago, but I have not looked into it personally. Wendigoon is a really nice guy. I have enjoyed pretty much everything that he has ever put out. I think that he is an exemplary content creator, and I would very strongly recommend him. If I could ever do like the deep dive stuff that he does on any level, then I would consider myself a tremendous success, honestly, if I could emulate even 1/3 of his ability, because that guy has some serious natural charisma and natural talent, and I really like it because he actually manages to get his point across without swearing or cursing or anything like that. Hello, Salamandra. Wendigoon's Weird Bible series is great. I've not actually watched that. I might give that a look. I quite like Metatron as well. Like, Metatron does some pretty good stuff about the Bible, which I agree with. It's nice to somebody who actually knows the history of it and everything. You should watch it. It's so awful. The dude who made the video is like a parody of a leftist. It's that bad. There's no such thing as a parody of leftism. It's all absolutely 100% po-faced seriousness. But it's just like with this thing, like going back to the shark thing for a second, I do not believe that this is a mistake, because there is a very large and unfortunate number of LGBTQ people who, well, shall we say LGBTQ claimants or LGBTQ skinwalkers, because I genuinely do think at this point that there are a decent number of LGBTQ people who just want to be bloody left alone, and I can respect that, because again, I would be a hypocrite and say, oh, I hate all LGBTQ people, they're all weird rainbows. Now, when I know like 3 or 4 of them that are quite nice and I actively consider friends, that would be extremely hypocritical of me. How else does the community represent their predator status, ruining everything? Yeah, exactly. That the skinwalkers of the community that have just completely taken it over on every way are just... They know exactly what they're doing. They are completely narcissistic psychopaths, and they do this kind of thing because they can. Because you can't stop them. Why make a shark LGBTQ? Because they can. Because they can. Because they know what they want. They want to take power away from you. They want to make you suck the girl cock. They want to make you acknowledge the feminine penis. And they want there to be nothing that you can do about it. It's just the ones that want to be left alone that you never hear from because they're too busy having jobs and friends and families. Yes, precisely. Why do you need a movement? Why are they grouped together? It's very depressing. Very depressing, especially when I continue to read more about all this, the psychology behind all of this, and how utterly psychology has failed these people. This is what really depresses me, is that there's no one in the psychology community that is willing to actually come out and say that these people are what they are. And they're telling you what they are. They are not hiding it in any capacity. They want to destroy you. They want to transmax your kids. They want to show little kids, little children as young as like 4 or 5, pictures of men in dresses. They want gender neutral education. In other words, they want everybody to go on hormone blockers, and they're just blatant about it. You can't say that they don't, because this is literally what they say they want. LGB is wrong with the root in reality. T is absolutely Luciferian garbage made by evil people who look to men like Desaad in praise. They are an ideology of barriers. I mean, yeah. Is that there's a different... That's the problem with the ideas of total freedom, is there's no such thing as total freedom, and the idea of total freedom is completely insane and absurd. But Proc, if you start pointing out the obvious things, hundreds of queer people will die. Well, hundreds of people die from all sorts of things every single day. You know, do we... What, no? Suicide baiting has never been an abuse tactic? No, it never has. Nobody ever fakes suicide. Nobody ever fakes rape threats or anything like that. Those things are like hashtag believe all women. Is the breakdown of standards, the universal breakdown of standards. I know it's sarcasm, don't worry, Zen Gunman. I am aware enough, I am pretty blatant enough in my views that I sincerely doubt any actual, there was that MTF that stabbed 4 girls the other day that disappeared from the news very quickly. Yeah, I think that was Kirsha talking about him on... Was it yesterday? On Sunday? I think so. I'm not going to cover that today because I would prefer not to until we know a bit more about it. I don't like to be a breaking news channel because what's there to say aside from, yeah, somebody who claimed to be trans stabbed up a bunch of people. We don't know anything more than that, as far as I'm aware. Like, if his Facebook profile or whatever gets leaked, and or his manifesto, because there's always a stupid manifesto. We never got that manifesto from that other school shooter person, did we? Like, some of the pages were... They were leaked, and that's about it. I don't think that they was ever revealed in full. Which is annoying, but pretty typical. But yeah, going back to this nonsense... Completely don't ever believe that the irony is lost on them, because no, it's totally blatant. It's absolutely and completely sincere. There's this delusion among people that are anti-LGBTQ that it's just irony, it's just sarcasm, they can't really be serious, or, oh, these people are oblivious. No, the kind of people that do this, again, the kind of people that do this, because, you know, I'm sure if I hit up, like, Lennox's DMs or whatever, she wouldn't exactly express support for this kind of thing. The specific type of activist that does this knows exactly what they're doing, and it's not going to stop with this. And what they do is they insert themselves into every argument and to every debate, and they co-opt it. And that is precisely Marxist doctrine. All of this traces back very easily to Marxist doctrine. During the Russian Revolution, the Marxists were very much in the minority. They were not the party that had the lead in negotiations with the Russian government or anything like that. In fact, what people don't really know about the Russian Revolution is that the Russian government was perfectly willing to negotiate with a lot of the revolutionaries. The liberal revolutionaries in Russia actually had pretty moderate demands by today's standards. They wanted things like the constitutional monarchy and like workers' rights and so on, but it wouldn't have even been particularly extreme by the standards of today. And the government was willing to speak to them. They were willing to negotiate. But what happened was, every single time the government was willing to give concessions to the liberal revolutionaries, then the Marxist revolutionaries would deliberately attack the government in some capacity. They would deliberately stage some kind of terrorist attack, or they would deliberately do something that would slander their own side and actually make conditions worse for their own side. because when they win, they don't get anything. Like, their goal was not for a constitutional monarchy, like the liberal revolutionaries wanted. They wanted Marxism, obviously, which has no place for monarchy in any capacity. The liberals were fine, but the socialists were weak and pathetic, and Kerensky was a literal continental Freemason who forced the war to continue, opening the door for the retrieval of Lenin. I mean, I'm definitely oversimplifying things, but that is the basic summary of it, in that you can never you can't negotiate with these people because they don't want to negotiate with you. Like, any negotiation that they engage with is automatically a false flag. What am I seeing? You're seeing an LGBTQ shark, which, has no negative implications upon the movement in any capacity whatsoever. Evening chat, what are we talking about? We're talking about gay sharks. I'm late? Well, I was late too, by 2 whole minutes, and Lumi was very quick to point out that I'm a filthy later. I am a later, or something or other, and I apologize if I'm a little bit low energy tonight, but as I said, I have been doing quite a lot of stuff. Allow me to just... because banned VT memes are still... oh my goodness. So it looks like Coney might leave as well. I'm not sure. Why is it every single time I boot up stream... oh my... let me just go here. So this is... let me just look at what banned VT is saying. This is Momo and Poco. Okay, so this is both, according to Banned VT Memes, and Banned VT Memes is an interesting guy, but he is very much a VT mouthpiece. So take what he says with a bit of a grain of salt, but apparently, according to him, like, Fuyumi and Spiny Sore are Momo and Poco from Idle Cause alt accounts, and they've both gone active, and now we have right here... this is Menace, this is Coney's account, this is Coney's alt account. She posted, yeah, May 25th, so very shortly before the grad announcement for Yuko. I actually really like this design. I enjoy the short stack design. Does if I scroll up a bit, is there a full image of her design? Oh, it's probably on her profile page. Yes, this is the design. I approve of this design, okay? Short stacks are good. Short stacks are very, very good. Commies will only negotiate around 100 million dead. Every time a new girl announces graduation, all the girls reactivate their past accounts. Yeah, that is true. It's interesting. I almost feel as if it is... it's weird to me. It's weird to me. So, Proctor, when is that D&D campaign coming? I mean, are you in my Discord? There's something that I might do at some point, maybe. I'm not really interested in doing a D&D campaign. Certified Proctor mode. What the hell are you talking about? Bullyable. This is a very bullyable model. I mean, honestly, if this thing and Mozu are on collab together, that is going to be a very, very hard thing to sit through without crossing my legs, put it that way, because good grief. Mozu's design, I really do think, is probably one of the most sexy things in the entire VTuber space. And this design, too, is pretty high up there. And what I mean, like, sexy, well, I mean, let's be honest, this is pretty slutty. This is very slutty. But I don't know, there's something about it that I genuinely find very attractive, whereas I don't find an awful lot of VTuber models that are overtly sexual to be arousing at all. I just don't, whereas like Mozu and this design here, they've got it, okay? They've got it. They've got it. That's all that I can say. That's my rating for this. Like, the two of them together... that's going to be an interesting stream, especially given their propensities towards... it's the maid aspect. The Britain Proctor reacts positively to maids. I've never seen... has Kirsha got any fan art of her in a maid outfit? I do wonder. Slut body, adoptable face, but be real, it's the fluffy tail. I mean, the fluffy tail is nice, but it's not a particularly large, prominent fluffy tail, so... It's the guy that says, I'm a Kumar. Azahara, name 3 VTuber models that you absolutely would not sleep with. and males don't count. Who doesn't like girl failures? I can fix them. I can fix them all, guys. I can fix them all, chat, okay? Yuko's dead, let's go. I am so happy that Yuko Yuri is dead. I mean, again, I don't necessarily hate Yuko Yuri herself. I don't... Isn't it Rai Project that is the alt? I always get, like, her and Whiskey Project confused, so if I'm wrong with that. It's either Whiskey or Rai, I think, like, the GunTube VTubers. And... why would you fix girl failures? They are better than that. Good question. Yeah, exactly, Asihara, exactly. At least I am selective about the VTuber models that I would start a family with, put it that way. I just feel bad for her, but she brought it on herself. Also, bred it. I think it's other way around. Rai is bred. Rai Project. Yeah. I don't really feel bad for Yuko because she absolutely knew what she was doing. And the thing is, I really feel like imagine for a second if an RL streamer was doing the kind of things that a VTuber was, and she was doing the same kind of thing as Yuko. I don't like the kind of double standard, just because she was using an avatar, that it's okay to bait that kind of thing. I mean, I know the whole, like, lolly is not real nonsense, but I'm sorry, when you get to the point of, like, ASMR for that kind of stuff, you're stepping so close to the edge. I'm sorry, I cannot in good conscience use the, it's just a drawing, grow up argument. I thought Yuko was fun in the normal streams I caught. Never listened to her ASMR stuff except for posting clips. Yeah, don't, if you don't want to feel physically dirty to your core. Again, it's... and just knowing the kind of people that were in her DMs, yeah, I think GFE is disgusting too. I mean, it's not even GFE, it's literal lolly bait GFE. It's like the GFE where the express and very obviously explicit purpose is, yeah, it's GFE with an underage character that acts underage, that talks about stuff that I'm not going to say, otherwise some asshole will clip me saying it and put it on the forum out of context. But yeah, that kind of stuff that is very, very obviously meant to make people feel, oh yeah, this is an underage character doing this in my ear. And I'm just like, no, sorry. When you start doing that, you don't have an excuse. You no longer have an excuse. I would never clip someone out of context. Asihara, do you kiss your mother with that mouth? I really hope not. Let me just look through the Discord again to see if anybody else has been saying that. I know Yuko's and Momo from Mirai because despite watching, that's nothing really special, okay. What the heck's that? 4 exercise that will make, oh. Speaking of entirely say so things, this was something that has been going the rounds. 4 exercises that'll make your vagina so tight it becomes a guillotine. It's really funny that I remember on Kirsch's stream there was a clip of this Russian woman who has done, like, pelvic floor exercises to the point that she can actually lift something like a 10 or 15 pound weight just with her lady bits. Like, she can clamp down that tightly that she can lift... We have found the cock destroyer. Yeah, yes, indeed. We have very definitely found the cock destroyer. Those are called Kegels. Okay. I'm really annoyed that I don't actually have the material needed to do deadlifts. Yeah, let me just actually see if I can Google this. Give me 1 second. Let me just open this on a private window because I do not want this. Woman who can lift weights with her vagina. Intimacy coach Kim Anami. Benefits of vaginal weightlifting. okay, I mean, this is still technically safe for work. You'll see why I made that noise in a second. Intimacy coach who lifts objects as big as surfboards with a vagina teaches other women, good grief, if a man could do that with the technique, claiming it improves their health and makes them look younger. Yeah, that's open image in new tab. That's what, scrolling down and seeing that is what made me make that noise. Just suddenly seeing this on my screen was just like vaginal kung fu. You will never find a coach who teaches you to look young by bench lifting. Give me just 1 second. I've got to. That one. Is it clipped to her, or is there a loading pin inserted? Let me just pin that. Good grief. Okay, I'm giving this article a read through. Give me 1 second. This is worth a detour from my planned content. No. Go on. There we go. 44-year-old. I mean, she has the face of a 44-year-old. Her face is not particularly young, but god damn, that is an amazing looking body without the, The intimacy coach who can lift coconuts, household objects, and even a surfboard using her vagina is encouraging other women to develop their pelvic muscles to improve their health. Kim Anami, who splits her time between LA and Bali, teaches vaginal kung fu, which she believes helps with depression and gives women younger looking skin, and can be especially helpful to women after childbirth. Now, it's really funny because I was actually literally talking to my mother today about, because she's had 3 children, including me, obviously, and she was discussing with me her childbirth issues, and her first 2 children were absolutely fine. Her third child, aka me, was much more problematic. I was the most difficult child she ever gave birth to, and she attributes that pretty much entirely due to the fact that she was forced to lie down during her labor with me, whereas with her first 2 children, she was able to stand up. And the thing is, if you look at every single ancient medical textbook which talks about pregnancy, they all say that birth should be given in the squatting position, because think about it logically for a second. The baby is traveling downwards. No C-section babies at all. No, at all. None at all. All healthy regular births, except for me, which took quite a lot of time and forceps. I actually think that when I was a child for a very long time, I had a dent in my head because they grabbed me with the forceps, and that actually left an imprint in my skull. My skull is actually still a little bit weird because I think it may have actually closed. Yeah, I think it actually has closed over. That's very interesting because, like, 2 years ago, when I put my... Can you actually hear that? And that's just the sound of me rubbing my fingers through the top of my scalp. And... yeah, I think it has closed over, actually. There's actually, like, a condition that people have where the bones in their skull don't fuse together properly. And it's not dangerous or not harmful or anything, but, yeah, I actually had a slight dent in the top of my skull because... yeah, the bones in the top of my skull didn't fuse together properly, and it's probably because I have such a massive brain and such a high intelligence. Like, it's my extremely high IQ that resulted in it. Okay. But yeah, as I was saying, if anybody in my chat is in the very rare position to have a wife who might give birth to a child, I would very strongly recommend asking if they can birth from the squatting position as opposed to on a bed, because pretty much all science agrees that the squatting position is better for childbirth because it's much more natural, it's much more elastic, your body is much more elastic in that position, and obviously gravity is working for you. It can be very problematic if not cared for properly. I mean, I was perfectly fine. I turned out fine, I desperately tell myself, as I simp for a fox that lives 5,000 miles away. Extremely high IQ. Yes, haven't you noticed I have an incredibly high IQ? You need an incredibly high IQ to understand my streams. Which is why my viewership is so low. The 44-year-old ties a thin piece of string to a jade egg, which she then inserts into her vagina, attached to the object she'll be lifting, using nothing more than her strong muscles. Okay, I was not expecting that. Kim wears a flamenco-style dress and lifts a fan with her pelvic muscles and holds another in her hand. I had not scrolled down that far. Not the eggs. I've heard some weird stuff about jade eggs, but I don't really know anything about it. So, World End Dominator, also thank you for this watching. I don't think I've ever seen you in my chat before. When you need to air out your gooch. Is this gonna spam me with ads or something? Let me just turn down the volume.
Sex and relationship coach Kim Anami is a woman with a very hidden talent. She's a pro at vaginal weightlifting.
This is the vaginal weightlifting apparatus that I use. It's actually jade carved into the shape of an egg. There's a hole drilled through it.
You know what, guys? Actually, this video is 4 minutes long. I have just realized that I do not have any water, and I am most certainly going to need water to get through this stream. So I'm going to turn this video on, and then I'm going to leave for like the 1.5 minutes it'll take me to fill up my water bottle. So this is actually very convenient. I didn't have any videos prepared for this, but this will help me immensely. So this will fill the dead air. So please enjoy this woman discussing how she inserts jade eggs into her vagina in order to lift surfboards. I'm sure that will be a most entertaining substitute for my dulcet tones for the next minute and 30 seconds or so.
The thread or string comes down, and then that's where we tie the objects onto the end of, and then we lift.
And over the years, she's gotten creative when it comes to strengthening her pelvic floor.
I can lift skateboards, coconuts, all kinds of tropical fruit. What else? The French crockery.
Kim now practices what she calls her vaginal kung fu up to 5 times a week and claims that the effects of having a vice-like vagina are nothing short of miraculous.
It strengthens the pelvic floor, it eliminates urinary incontinence, but it also increases their ability to enjoy sex. Women can ejaculate across the room with a strong PC muscle. It can create this lift in the whole system. I've had clients who were Botox users stop using Botox because the lines on their face began to be erased.
And experts are throwing their weight behind some of Kim's claims.
The idea of strengthening the vaginal muscles is a good one. It can help with sexual satisfaction for both partners, and it can help with prevention of prolapse. So I think that she's opening up a door to women exploring their sexuality, the sensuality, and the power of the vagina. And it is something that's so repressed in our society. I think she's doing something physically and mentally and socially that's a good thing.
Kim's determined to spread the word about vaginal weightlifting. One of her first converts to the practice was her friend Dana.
She came to my house and presented me with a gift, and it was a pouch that had a jade stone in it. She said, "It's for your vagina." So that was pretty much our first meeting. Once I actually took one of her courses and studied her creation of vaginal kung fu, that's when I really understood what she's talking about when she says that you change the energy of your whole life.
Kim travels the world extolling the virtues of vaginal weightlifting and posts pictures of her training on her Instagram page. Hashtag things I lift with my vagina. Today, she's at Venice Beach in California, showcasing her pelvic power.
So I just attached a surfboard
surfboard, and I'm lifting a surfboard with my vagina.
And it's earning her a fair amount of attention.
When people see me out in
Hello,
public practicing
Paskov.
my lifting of different objects, they tend to be amused, their jaws drop, or they are very, very intrigued and supportive and encouraging, like, you go, girl.
Would you try this?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
At home, yeah. Would you?
I don't want to walk around with the surfboard.
You're holding it by wow.
I was shocked and I didn't believe it was real. Discovering that it's more of a vaginal exercise, it was kind of crazy. I would definitely try it.
I think this girl looks great. What's your number?
But potential suitors should be careful what they wish for.
Wow.
I have heard of a friend of mine knew a woman in Thailand who put 3 men in the hospital because she didn't know her own strength.
I can believe that. I can believe that. Whoops, sorry. I closed the tab. And yet she's still single. Hello, I was tuning in for the streams. Nice to see you, I suppose. I have not been masturbating, excuse me. This woman was not a white fox, okay? Unironically will tell my future wife to do this. Well, considering my lack of experience with that sort of things, you missed the part she said about being able to nut across the room. What? What? What part of the video was that? Biohazard Xer. She's single, she's a strong, independent woman. Go back. Yeah, but what timestamp? To what timestamp? How does Kirsha still keep you around with all the simping? I hear your name in every stream. What do you mean? Do you mean her name or what? 9 out of 11 gynecologists agree. I mean, I don't want my future wife fat and decrepit at an old age, but I still find this kind of exercise gross. Is it before or after the doctor thing? Actually, I'm slightly curious about the doctor thing, so...
Began to be erased.
And experts are throwing their weight behind some of Kim's claims.
The idea of strengthening the vaginal muscles is a good one.
Why am I not surprised this man sounds very gay and he's a gynecologist? Unironically, would actually like... That's an interesting idea, actually. I would genuinely like to know, would a woman feel okay being examined by a homosexual gynecologist? Is that actually something that a woman would prefer over a heterosexual gynecologist? Your name in her streams. Oh, well, that's because I sent her a lot of messages. I mean, we have known each other for a long period of time by now. What is it, like 16 months or so? I just prefer a woman.
It can help with sexual satisfaction for both partners, and it can help with prevention of prolapse. So I think that she's opening up a door to women exploring their sexuality, the sensuality, and the power of the vagina. And
the
it's
power of
something
the
that's so
vagina
repressed in our society. I think she's doing something physically and mentally and socially that's a good thing.
Kim's determined to spread the word about vaginal weightlifting. One of her first converts to the practice was her friend Dana.
She came to my house and presented me with a gift.
Oh dear, that is not a...
And it was a pouch that had a jade stone in it. She said, it's for your vagina. So,
As you do. As you do.
that was pretty much our first meeting. Once I actually took one of her courses and studied her creation of vaginal kung fu.
Men of legit
when
said they
I
get off
really
after looking at
understood
chicks.
What she's talking about
What?
when she says
Well-
that you change the energy of your whole life.
Kim
Yeah, they were nearly to the point where I got back, so I'm not sure where Biohazard was talking about, but maybe he just catfished me, I don't know. Long-faced Dana, they called her. It is very... It's noticeable the kind of women that are into this, shall we say. And you know what? In fairness, that's fine. That's totally fine. If a woman does not have the perfect face or anything like that and wants to use something else to set her aside to mark her uniqueness, then yeah, fine. That's more power to her. Sex for me is a personal growth tool. It is healing, revitalizing, and self-actualizing. It's just part of a healthy lifestyle. I've always been very aware of my sexual energy and an interest in how to make sex even better. I first started practicing what I now call vaginal kung fu, the mastery of all things vagina, 20 years ago. What? It is based on ancient Taoist practices women used 5,000 years ago to strengthen the pelvic floor and increase sexual pleasure. Yeah, in fairness, that is a very, very healthy-looking woman. I mean, apart from the giant rock. Overall, I want women to know what their vaginas can actually do. My assertion is that the normal, healthy baseline for every woman is being able to ping-pong balls from her vagina. It's not just a skill set reserved for some special thigh vagina. Excuse me 1 second. I think Kirsha is asleep, but I'm just gonna message her. I'm gonna message her right now. Serious question. Do you believe that the healthy standard... Actually, what was the precise wording right here? What was the precise wording? No, that's the wrong tab. My assertion is that the normal healthy baseline for every woman is to be able to ping pong balls from her vagina. Do you think that the healthy normal standard... I'm trying to word this properly. Considered a normal, healthy standard for a woman to be able to fire ping pong balls from her vagina. There we go. I unfortunately, she is asleep at the moment. She'd be a beast at beer pong. Is the jade egg also part of the package, or do I have to install that through DLC? Taoist, parenthesis, white woman. Is this your love language? You have no... I should say, the first time I ever spoke to Kirsha in private was to ask her a sexual question, because back then... I was still very new to the idea of non-say-so women streamers who weren't also blatantly pornographic sluts. So I eventually was just, because she talked very openly and honestly both about her dating life and her sex life and her family life. In the end, I just asked her a question about it as the very first thing that I asked her. Is the kind of person that actually takes Gwyneth Paltrow seriously. The jade egg stays in during. I mean, with that kind of muscle power and flexibility, you probably would be able to keep it in during sex. I mean, it's not that big, but I don't know. Again, that's something I'm not gonna. Oh, I've got no. That's somebody else. Oh goodness me! I had a panic for a second. Gwyneth Paltrow is a very strange woman. She has also had thousands sign up to her online courses. Kim believes there are multiple health and emotional benefits from the unconventional practice. Having a strong pelvic floor and vaginal muscles helps with everything from increasing libido, orgasmic potential, and lubrication. Eliminating incontinence, I do agree with her here. I am almost certain that something like this would be superb if you suffered from incontinence. And preventing pelvic organ prolapse. Again, I actually agree with this, especially after childbirth. This is true because, again, a lot of women, unfortunately, have a lot of looseness down there if they've had quite a lot of children. Now that one is just a little bit weird. This is like, you've heard of the streamer bathwater. Would you have the vaginal muscle donuts? I bitch, do those cheeks clap? Proctor asking Kirsha a question for the first time. No, the first question that I ever asked Kirsha in DMs was, is it true that men like to have sex with women on their period? That's the question that I asked her, because I'd heard that from some places, and I was very curious. And she responded to me, not in my experience, although some men have told her that the vagina feels distinctly different during that time period, literal time period, and that's why they prefer it. Now, for me, the concept of having sex with a woman who is on her period is kind of repulsive, honestly, but Jesus Christ, I'm sorry we asked. Hey, Kirsha, do men like to earn their red wings? Is that seriously what they call it? Gilbert Troy, did you just make that up on the spot, or is that legitimately an actual thing? Gynos do recommend Kegels after childbirth and just in general as you get older, since those muscles are also related to BMs and bladder control. Yes, I unfortunately am aware of certain women who have had very serious issues with incontinence after childbirth simply because they have not done pelvic floor exercises, and it really does have a bad impact on you. I feel very sorry for women overall. They get periods, they have to deal with all this extra stuff with the plumbing and everything. Whereas men never have these problems. I mean, men have sometimes problems with their prostates, but that's about it. Yeah, it was a great first impression. 1 second. I hope whatever girl I find is about as much as asexual for children only as me. Find women hot up until the whole sex thing. I am completely... Menopause, yeah, that's also a thing that happens, although a lot of women are actually quite liberated by the menopause because they're like, yeah, my childbirth days are over. So, no, that's typically what they call it. Well, don't worry, I do not intend to ever earn my red wings. I am the Lord of the Wings, but they are going to be white wings, not red wings. I have heard of red wings before. I thought it was more about... I really hate that you said that. Did you have to say that, Muffy Graves? I have an ice cream with me right now, and I don't think I want to finish it, because I couldn't get all the water that I wanted. I actually do not want to finish it now after you said that. That mental image is, that is disgusting. I'm sorry. That any man that is into that man is weird and does not deserve to breed. Sorry. Don't pass down those genetics. How can you say you love her? Big Wheel. I'm timing you out for that. 5 minutes. Oh, I didn't realize that deleted his pinned message. That's annoying. Oh, well. Yeah, there's a limit to how disgusting that's Red Sea, not Red Wings. Yes, goth men are weird. I mean, Muffets and Graves. This went places. Okay, I really need to learn to stop trying to shock chat, because chat is just going to just turn it back around against me. The practice creates an overall lift in the body, even a facelift. I've had clients stop using Botox because they took up vaginal weightlifting. Overall, a woman becomes more connected to her sexual energy in a way that is tangible. She feels more enlivened and confident. Even depression can be eradicated by becoming more connected with your sexuality. Kim has lifted a collection of weird and wonderful objects and recently lifted an Oscar with her vagina in Hollywood Boulevard. I like to lift objects which are indigenous to the areas that I visit. I have lifted a green coconut, a pineapple, and a bunch of mangoes in Bali. I love tropical fruit. I aim to lift objects which have an educational component to them and are part of an overall healthy lifestyle. Dare I even ask? Dare I even ask what that is? That's pretty terrifying. Damn. You wouldn't just go and bench press 300 pounds, you start small and work your way up. I lifted gluten-free or organic donuts. I no longer want the vagina donuts, thank you very much. And cold-pressed juices in Los Angeles and a surfboard at Venice Beach. This is a summation of it. This is a surprisingly long article. This is the last bit. Dr. Rabin thinks Kim's unconventional methods are having a positive impact on women's attitudes towards their femininity. And I actually will agree with him on this, because I remember listening to, I can't even remember what her name is, the new V Ho Show girl. These photos look like what a furry artist would draw. Please don't put that into my head as well. Red wings with a yellow... Am I seriously going to have to time out half my chat for talking about that kind of thing? Because, seriously, that's gross. Please stop. There is a limit, okay? Oh, I didn't realize I'd turn off my fire sounds, sorry. But I do remember listening to, it was like, her name's currently Mochi, Mika. Mika was the one she was in V Ho Show. Like, Mika from V Ho, from Nichi Sanji, Indonesia. I listened to her streams a decent amount, and I also thought she was pretty good. And what she said, she was another person that I listened to because she was quite candid about things, and she talked about sexual health a bit too, and she was talking about the really regressive attitude that Indonesia has towards female sexuality. And she said that it was impossible to ever get any assistance or help with things like menstruation and so on, that menstruation basically came up on her and nobody bothered explaining it or anything like that. And when she got infections down there, when she got UTIs, she couldn't go to any kind of clinic for UTIs because all the UTI clinics were also abortion clinics. And any woman that went to these clinics was automatically considered to be an adulteress who was having an abortion. So she had a really hard time with her feminine aspects while in Indonesia. I think she's still in Indonesia. Going to a gyno, they think you're pregnant, UTI. Yeah, exactly. It's really unfortunate and really depressing. So I actually do have an awful lot of sympathy for women who grow up with these issues, because I think it's completely absurd the way society, despite the fact that the earliest age for porn consumption now is something like 8 or 9 in some parts of the world, like children are exposed to porn at age 7 and start actively consuming it at ages 8 or 9. The general idea of how sex actually works has actually regressed. We are actually worse than we were 100 years ago. And it depresses me. It really upsets me, because there are people out there that are getting hurt, and they're getting the wrong ideas, and they're seriously becoming... It's making people seriously dysfunctional. I got married at 15. Are you a man or a woman, Paskov? I'm assuming a man, but that's just my assumption. The giant meteor cannot come soon enough. We're returning to the mean. It's definitely mean, put it that way. I honestly think that, this is a bit weird. I'm not gonna say it's not a fetish, but, I mean, this seems to be fairly harmless, and it does seem to be empowering to women in a tangible way, so, I mean, it's pretty weird, but, yeah, why not? Why the hell not? Give me a second. Man, okay. Was that like an arranged marriage or something? I do know that some Eastern European countries literally still practice arranged marriage, and even bridal capture, where men are allowed to just ride into a village and grab a woman and say, yeah, because I grabbed you, I can now marry you. It's something that happens quite a lot in the stands. I have ancestors that got married at that age a century ago. They were on the Texas-Mexican frontier, and they didn't know when the circuit preacher would be around to make it legitimate again. Sorry about the slurping sounds. I'm eating this now rather melted ice cream. to soothe my throat a bit because, again, I have hay fever, so I'm not exactly in the best state throat-wise. I'm glad both my parents were doctors. I didn't have to deal with this bullshit. I mean, both my parents were farmers, and when you live on a farm, you notice things at a very young age, and I think, honestly, that's how it should be. I think that children should be made naturally aware of how bodies work through exposure to their environment in a way that does not associate it with the taboo and carnality of actual human interaction, because I sincerely doubt there is anybody out there, unless they are the most closet of closet furries, who is going to look at two sheep going at it in a pasture and be instantaneously aroused at the highest level and immediately become awakened to all of the carnality of the world. Like, that's not going to happen. Whereas if you hand, a kid of 9 or 10 a phone, and Pornhub is literally one search away, yeah, that's going to mess them up pretty badly, isn't it? I think we can all agree on that. Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. Yep, that's where I was thinking of. I thought it was Kyrgyzstan, but I couldn't quite remember. But yeah, because they are descendants from like the Mongol hordes and everything, they still have that that nomadic culture where it's just like a wife is whoever you can grab from the local village, pretty much. And the thing is, like, the other women support it. The other women support it. I've seen documentaries about it. It's very strange. Like, men will go into these villages and they will kidnap young women and drag them off to be wives, and all the other wives that have had the same thing happen to them will be there to induct this new kidnap victim into their ranks and like say, oh yeah, it's a wonderful thing, he's such a nice guy and everything. Mother of my cousins does that. They knew of sex really young, but she taught them in a healthy way. Yeah, it is completely possible to teach a child an understanding of sex in a way that is not destructive to their psychology. And that comes from, very obviously, it's ironic because old Christian morality was pretty good at that, is that children were taught in a sensible way. There's this enormous myth that abstinence didn't work and that sex education was the thing that solved the pregnancy crisis in America, which is completely and exactly the opposite the way that actually worked. All the data says that when abstinence was the standard method of sex education, the number of children that actually had premarital affairs was very low. The moment that progressive sex education was brought into the school curriculum, teen pregnancy absolutely skyrocketed. Like, went up dozens and dozens of points. I agree, but 30% of the population are urbanized, and a non-trivial amount of them believe farmers should buy food from the grocery store where it's made. Their vote counts as much as mine does. Yeah, I know, it's very depressing. I mean, that's why I believe in the Mouse Utopia experiment so much, because what cities do to people, I would never live in a city. I would rather live in a ditch than a city. Next time a feminist talks about the evils of foot binding, inform them that it was a beauty standard that 100% created by and promulgated by other women. There are usually very good reasons behind traditional methods. Yes. Absolutely. And I think another example, and it's just gone out of my head, which is very irritating, that's very stupid. Very, very annoying. Oh yeah, it was. Like, when, in response to what Zen Gunman said, that, abstinence, yes, but informed abstinence, not the bushier and nonsense where you wouldn't even talk about it and thus ended up with loads of... I do agree with you, Maniacal Foreigner. I do absolutely agree with you. There was, again, things... Just look at what I was talking about with Mika. Is that her example is how far you go in the opposite direction. Is that it's so stupid that you don't even mention it. Don't mention periods, don't mention erections, don't mention... orgasms or anything like that. Like, sex is totally taboo to the point where it has to be explained to a bride and groom on their wedding night. Yeah, that's completely insane, and it's not going to work. Whereas, as Salamandra just said, my parents explained to me with a lot of patience and a couple of biology books, and I'm very grateful to this day. Yes, 1,000 years of wisdom which might generally work versus a big brain academic from the 1960s. Yep. My school taught me anatomy, my mom taught me about sex. That's pretty much how it should go, I think. Especially, obviously, a mother is going to be a lot better at it than a teacher. But must spreadsheet. Ah, this is a very nice ice cream. And let me just go back to just chatting for a second, because I've now completely lost track of all my tabs. Just a massive forest of nonsense. No, that's not it. That's all Falter stuff that I'm not interested in right now. And this was quite a funny thing. A very funny thing that happened just on the forum somebody shared, because Crony got involved in something. I mean, she got the trophy to show for it. That sounds horrible out of context. That's a good point, actually. This person posted AI art, and you can tell that it's AI art because look at this chain over the top of her head. That's not the way that Crony's outfit and design actually works. And Crony pointed this out. She just said, please tag your art as AI for future reference. And down here, this artist, this AI artist, says, does Cover Corporation insult the art created by fans with heartfelt intentions? Is that the will of the VTuber themselves, or is it the company's intention? Understand that your statements are an insult to the people who support you. Yeah. I've been to a place that's likely to teach you at worst. Do yourself a favor and don't look up the term Bachabazi. Yeah, that's why I am not entirely against the Taliban being back in Afghanistan, because, a fun fact, the US-backed government in Kabul was very, very, very much behind Bachabazi. They were fully endorsing it. In fact, there is a clip. There is a clip from a documentary that was filmed shortly before the US was actually driven out of Afghanistan, where it was a Kabul military officer who was talking to some American troops, and he was talking about his platoon of like native soldiers, and he was saying to the Americans, look guys, you don't understand. My troops need boy ass to fuck, okay? They need young boy ass to fuck in order to be effective. And if you don't let me get my troops young boy ass to fuck, then they're not going to fight for you. And for some reason, the Americans did not shoot him dead in the head immediately. I'm not joking. That is a clip that I saw in this documentary. That is unironically a clip. I don't remember exactly. I could find the documentary again somewhere, but Marines. These were Afghanistan soldiers. These were native Afghanistan troops, and they were just liaising with an American. That documentary. I think it's pretty infamous because it was supposed to be like this really pro Kabul government. Documentary, and the filmmakers just they said they couldn't. Like, there was nothing whatsoever that was positive about the entire Kabul government for them to report. They didn't set out to make it that negative. It just became that negative because the Kabul government and the Kabul native military was so feckless and pathetic and corrupt and deviant that there was nothing positive to spin. Nothing at all. Like, there was this one section of the documentary where the Kabul government was trying to train up a police force of native people, like a native Western-style police force, but with native Afghanistanis. Apparently that's okay, but if you cap a tally, then you're a war criminal. Everyone I've ever known to deploy to Afghanistan hated it. Yeah, and so there was this. The documentary starts out talking about how these 200 native Afghanistanis are bravely stepping up as patriots to save their country and westernize it with the powers of democracy and all that kind of stuff. And so they get sent off to Kabul, and then every single one of them immediately gets thrown out again because they all fail drug tests. Not a single one of them actually becomes a police officer. And it's hilarious. It's just instantaneous, complete failure right from the start. It just shows how pathetic the government was. I have so much that I could say about the occupation of Afghanistan that is just objectively true in every way. Like the way that, did you know that over 40% of Afghanistan's entire population was born during the US occupation? 40%. And that is the same population that America had 22 whole years to indoctrinate with Western culture, well, educate with Western culture. And they failed so completely at that after 22 years of exposure to Western culture, to Western money, to Western education, to Western upbringing, 99% of all of those people that were born under US rule universally chose the Taliban, or at the very least did not fight against it. That is how much of a failure the Afghanistan occupation is. It will go down in the history books as America, as the superior Vietnam, honestly. I would say that America did worse in Afghanistan than it did in Vietnam. The only difference is not so many US troops were killed. We unironically need to have Afghanistan under a moderate Muslim sultanate like it was originally. That would keep things sane. This democracy fetishism is so insane. Yeah, don't you notice that every single time America goes in and knocks over a bunch of like dictatorships or whatever in the Middle East, the new regime is even worse. Look at Libya, for example. Libya used to be an unironic, dictatorial state under Gaddafi. But guess what? Gaddafi modernized his country. Under Gaddafi, Libya had some of the highest secular education rates of the entire Arab Muslim world. It was an advanced culture. And it had great literacy rates. It had, great education rates and all this kind of thing. The people were terrified of the secret police. But Gaddafi was unironically a good ruler in terms of his economic policies, his education policies, and so on. And now, there are literal slave markets in Libyan cities. Democracy totally failed in Libya, absolutely and completely. All of the only people in power in Libya now are the arch-radical super-Muslims who would kill a woman on the spot if she was out in public without a face covering. And there are, as I said, there are literal open-air slave markets in Libya right now. That is what Western support for the democracy movement in Libya resulted in. Now they will sell out to the Chinese because they don't tell them how to live. Yeah. I'm sorry, I have absolutely nothing good to say about any of that kind of stuff. DC can't even impose New England values upon the rest of the United States. After a century of centralization, they're not going to turn an alien country into Pennsylvania with funny hats. Yeah. I mean, I've looked into this, because I was big in the history community for a while. One of the projects that I did was just looking into the history of US interventions in the Middle East. It's a clown car. It's a parody. It's absurd. Every single time I hear a conservative say that, the forever wars in the Middle East are a good thing, that's an ignorant conservative. There's just no doubt about it. The moment you look at the facts, the more insane it becomes. The more I hear about our foreign adventures, the more Washington was correct about foreign intervention and worrying that atheistic liberal Illuminati types may infiltrate the US. Yeah, that's another thing. There was a video that just came out just very recently. Let me just look it up 1 second, please. I actually don't think I can find it right now. Yeah, it's called How Israel Cucked the United States, which is all about the USS Liberty attack, which is very interesting to listen to. Alex Jones covered the USS Liberty attack once as well, and of course, Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist, and anything that Alex Jones says is automatically a lie, so people dismissed the USS Liberty attack. It's very funny, actually. I have a friend who is completely convinced that Alex Jones is a Mossad plant, because his coverage of the USS Liberty attack was basically one of the biggest exposés of the USS Liberty event. And then Alex Jones immediately went on his, his insane paranoid aliens nonsense. And my friend is convinced that was an action by Mossad, that he was backed by Mossad to produce that documentary on the USS Liberty, and then deliberately tarnish his own reputation with all of the conspiracy theorist nonsense like aliens in the White House and so on, and the gay frog stuff, just so that people would associate the very real journalism he did on the USS Liberty with his insane conspiracy stuff, and then assume the USS Liberty was nonsense as well. Sorry. My throat's rough up a bit. I did try to understand why there is an ongoing war, then I got a headache. Probably a mix of column A and column B, genuine journalism followed by a buyout. That's possible. Yeah. And again, it's what my friend thinks. Gaddafi stopped the migrants. South America as well. Yep. It's a very unpleasant set of topics. A very unpleasant set of topics, most certainly. Let me... In fact, this is something that I would move on to. Yes. Speaking of migrants... Canada mass immigration. Groups of Indian men have ruined the nude beach. This is a nude beach. A nude beach in Canada. Of, the most wonderful place in the world. In my city, we have a famous nude beach that's been there since the 70s. It's always been a popular spot for all people to come and disrobe and be as nature intended. It was a huge spot for the hippies, and has still been popular even today. Now my girlfriend doesn't even want to go anymore, because the last time we went, there were large groups of Indian men, fully clothed in jeans and sweaters and shoes, just sitting around staring and ogling at women. Not even just staring, many of them would either film or go up and hit on women that were alone and naked. I'm not alone in this sentiment either. I saw a lot of posts on the city subreddit about this last year, and now I'm just sad because it's beach season soon, and we can no longer feel safe going to our favorite beach because of these gross groups of men that have zero respect. It's not like I don't expect men to glance or enjoy looking at a naked woman. I mean, obviously that's human. But to go to the beach specifically to ogle and make people uncomfortable / take pictures and not participate in the culture by being nude yourself is disgusting. This is what's happening to us. We're fully losing our trust society, and it's becoming dangerous for women to exist here. I'm so effing mad about this shit. Yeah, but guys, just remember, diversity is our strength. Diversity is our strength. This is an analogue of how sea owls invade VVT, surely. Stop the male gaze unless it's from an Indian. Remember to use sunglasses at the beach. Yep. Indians being creeps is nothing new, but also Canada, so F them. Doesn't Crony have, or is it Fauna? I forget. Doesn't Crony have this intensely aggressive auntie who was accused of being like this poor Indian man? And as a result, he posted pictures of himself, of his table, like covered in really low denomination Canadian bills, as a flex, to like say, oh no, I'm definitely rich. And then on the edge, you could actually see his feet. And his feet were brown. He was an Indian man, you could tell by his feet. And the Indians are one of the best types when it comes to actually integrating into other cultures. The really dark dude with 50 Canadian dollars. Yeah, him. Yeah, exactly him. Feet brown and dirty. Yeah, bare feet brown and dirty. We'll just finish my ice cream for a second. The Urdu variant. It's a very nice ice cream. Oh, I really hate the sun. I hate the sun and I hate the pollen. But for some reason, my life is forced to exist with both of them. This is also what I tell San Franciscans. What shocks me so much is that these people, it's a case of, you got what you voted for. That better be Hagen-Dazs if you're going to go full mukbang grunting in my ear. I was once at a mom and pop type store and one of these people tried to lure me into the back. I ran. Good. I consider Indians some of the ugliest people on earth, and even racist. I just rank their women and they're basically only better than African American women. Well, I've seen some very, very nice Indian women, honestly. Bro, I'm dead. Hello, Charlotte. Welcome. You get what you vote for line. Yeah, it's just that these people never seem to have understood. This is the consequence. We didn't vote for this. Well, yeah, I mean, Canada does not exactly have a strong opposition party now, does it? Protest low stands. No, I genuinely find some Indian women to be very beautiful. One of the major problems is, it's like with Eastern European women. Hope the stream is good. Just stop by to see what's up. Yeah, we're talking about silly nonsense. You missed Charlotte. You missed. Did I close the tab? Did I close the tab? No, I've got to look at this now. I've got to look this up. So Charlotte, I'm curious. While you're here, do you have an opinion on this? The intimacy coach who lifts objects as big as surfboards with her vagina. We were discussing this earlier, and I asked Kirsha, and Kirsha is not around, so she's not responded yet. But where is it now? She says here, overall, I want women to know that what their vaginas can actually do. My assertion is that the normal, healthy baseline for every woman is to be able to ping pong balls from her vagina. I assume they mean fire ping pong balls from her vagina. So, since we actually have a woman in chat, I would be curious. Do you agree with this statement here that the healthy baseline for a woman would be able to fire ping pong balls from her vagina? Charlotte Van Halen has left the game. I'm sorry. I'm a different kind of Chinese. If she can teach me how to play badminton with my coach. The real talk, who is needing this skill, who is paying apparently a great number of people. She has over 35,000 followers on Instagram. 35,000 followers on Instagram. I'll actually send you this this article in your DM. I'll just send it to you in a DM if you want to look for yourself. She believes there are multiple health and emotional benefits from this unconventional practice. Coochie hidden badminton. Oh, big wheel! I swear, if you manage to get, if you manage to do something that gets you, oh, thanks for the cats. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh yes. This just kind of happens. I don't know why. But see, guys, it's just like I told you. It's just like I told you. Oh, now where on earth was I? Where on earth was I? Yes, here we were back at this. About the nude beaches, and the comments are exactly as I expected it to be. Here's an interesting comment. Make it so clothing is not optional. Anyone entering must go through changing room and completely disrobe, storing all clothing in their locker. Anyone clothed on the beach will be arrested for descent non-exposure. Never been to a nude beach, but I know a couple of rules. It is not polite to ogle other guests. Photography is forbidden. If either of these is violated, then those violating the rules should be arrested, removed, and trespassed. Won't work. Even more Indians will show up naked this time. I mean, I would have expected... Dude, my IRL sent that to me. What? Wait, what? The article or this? Who needs a gun when you have a Gucci cat? This Indian post. Oh, yeah. Oh, you must have come in while I was showing the picture and not the... Yeah. This is a thing in Canada at the moment. And I'm just like, why? This is a case of you reap what you sow. You let in a whole bunch of people that don't share your cultural values, and they end up doing this. I think it's talking about Wreck Beach in Vancouver, potentially. It says it's been going since the 70s, so it's a famous nude beach that's been here since the 70s. It's always been a popular spot for all people to come and disrobe and be as nature intended. I actually have a friend of a family member who's in Vancouver. I do wonder if I could hit them up and be like, hey, how's it going at the... She is a woman, so I don't think that she would appreciate me just hitting her up and going, hey, girl, how's you going to the nude beach there? It is happening in every nation, basically. It genuinely worries me. It genuinely worries me how many people in Ireland... I can't actually say where because, again, it's a bit too close to home. It would be very easy to find my location by where I said, but there have been riots in Ireland recently. Well, not really riots, surprisingly genuinely peaceful demonstrations that have had success because Ireland has 14,000 or more native homeless people. And the government is committed to helping the homeless situation in a very profound way by building new houses for homeless people in Ireland. Just the small issue is that they are exclusive to refugees from Southern Africa, or Northern Africa rather. I heard they are burning stuff. I mean, they have that in Dublin, but I'm talking about more local, rural areas, because basically the government has bought up a whole bunch of land in various rural locations, villages or small towns, and they are building prefabricated houses for refugees. And Irish people have not taken this particularly well. They have been protesting en masse, and they have been able to stop the construction of many of these places because, as they have pointed out, we have thousands and thousands of homeless people that have been homeless for... Some of them have been homeless for years and years and years. The government has never done anything for them. And yet now, for some reason, they are not only accepting very large numbers of economic migrants who are not emigrating from countries that are in the middle of war or anything, and they are building these people houses on government money when the Irish council system basically does not exist. The waiting list for Irish council homes is 20 years. Minimum 20-year waiting list. Because we tried to put ourselves on it because of our potential homelessness in the next year or so. And we were told, yeah, don't bother applying for a council house because there's a 20-year waiting list. Democracies can only maybe work under a virtuous and rooted people. That's why democracies always seek to either dumb down and uproot its people or just replace its own people. That's the depressing truth. If you look back at American history was pretty strong when it had... Again, America was a land of immigrants, but again, immigrants integrated. I hate that you can talk about that and I can relate to it from across the ocean. Do you mean in America, Guildmage Troy? I don't know particularly where you are. Left a like bus. Okay, Charlotte. Have a good night. I try to fix my sleep schedule. Impossible. I've actually got to be up fairly early tomorrow morning because I'm going to a class, which will be quite fun. But Texas, we get it full blast. Yeah, enlighten the immigrants to Irish traveler culture. Trade their house for a caravan and send them on down to Bongland. Every day I'm leaning more and more towards Friend Spoon's position of democracy is false and gay. Oh, that is happening here too. The refugees are getting their free rent. Free? Yep. Same here. I mean, I posted on the forum, actually. No, I posted on KF, actually. It was on my KF account, but I posted about Ukrainian refugees in Ireland. I really like the Ukrainian refugees in Ireland. The Ukrainians have genuinely tried very, very hard to integrate. A lot of them are now going to business school and are receiving, like, very high marks despite the language barrier and everything. There are some that are planning to set up businesses in Ireland. An awful lot of Ukrainians have just gone, yeah, Ireland is pretty cool. We're going to stay here. And I agree with that because they're genuinely nice people. They have a very strong work ethic. And trust me, Irish people do not have a strong work ethic in any capacity. The Irish are very, very lazy people. And they're completely unapologetic about it too. because they just came off 600 years of oppression by the English, working 16-hour workdays. So, yeah, they're quite happy to be lazy, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. Their work ethic is their business, except when you're trying to get them to deliver stuff, in which case, yeah. I'm so happy I live in the more conservative area of Canada. Is there a conservative area of Canada? I have no idea where that is. One moment, please. Here we go. Alaska. Alaska's not part of Canada, is it? No, Alaska is part of America. I would like to visit Alaska sometime. I've heard that it's quite a nice place. That's very annoying, so I have to blow my nose yet again because of the pollen. I hate pollen. There we go. The prairies tend to be more conservative, so in the Maritimes, but also in the cultural sense. Okay. And Quebec is like a land that time has forgotten. I have, isn't Quebec like one of the French-speaking areas? Because I have a friend of the family who's French. And he's a very nice guy. We really like him. And he has to go back to Canada to care for his elderly father, who is like in his late 80s, and he still goes fishing every couple of days on this really remote lake. And he's getting to the age where he needs help. Kinda, it's still very left compared to the US, but still better than Eastern Canada or Vancouver. Alaska needs to go back to Russia. I don't think that America would be particularly happy with that. Anyway, we pretty much covered that. Oh yeah, there's this thing. Let me just close this tab. There's this one. On a more humorous and VTuber-related note, this is Charlotte Vale, who is a bride VTuber, which kind of feels like a one-trick pony, to be honest, but I'm not going to judge too hard. What I am going to judge is the fact that I'm actually annoyed that I didn't get to this before Charlotte Van Helen went to bed, because it would be quite funny to have her comment on this. At first, my boyfriend was very supportive of my VTubing career. That was until I told him the quote for the model. "It's only $10,000, babe, Lamau." Is this your first time being a VTuber and streaming? Dropping that much on a model at first is extremely risky, and I'll be honest, if you can find good artists and riggers at a quarter of the price. And she says, I just had a very bad luck with artists, honestly, so I feel like if I don't spend the money, I won't get it in time and it won't be good quality. That's a terrible attitude. That is a dreadful attitude. Quebec is like a whole ass different country. Bride tuber is that next level of GAV? No, she is actually marrying her boyfriend. And this VTuber thing is some kind of... I mean, it's pretty cute, honestly. It's pretty cute. I would definitely have Kirsha do the same thing. What does she say down here? Yes, Kevin only works with certain artists since he just rigs them, so it's a lot of layers that's going onto this one specifically because wedding dress have a lot of layers and elements. 10k is stupid expensive for the highest end models. At that point, why not get a model from the god Kevin himself? Who is, like, I've heard of Kevin before, but I don't actually know what rigs has Kevin done. Because I know almost nothing about riggers. And here's her comment. He definitely fainted after that, I bet, says somebody here. And she says, oh dude lol. He stopped eating his burrito mid-bite, but it's cause I want a veil toggle, short/long dress toggle, the walk like what Kevin makes, I need a bouquet, a cake, a fork with a cake in it, a lean toggle, showing off wedding ring toggle, sitting version of model, emotions, etc. So it's a lot more than your typical order. Definitely is, and definitely something you won't forget until another wild and out of the ordinary occasion happens again. I feel like, also sorry about, I feel like Tempest here is kind of taking the piss out of things a little bit, as he should. If my wife wanted to pay $10,000 for a wedding dress, yeah, our engagement is getting reconsidered. Only in some places. I've never seen milk in a bag in the 34 years I've been there. What? Canada sells milk in bags, which is an abomination. Oh. It's a complete stranger boasting about normie shit, so I'm inclined to hate them. Is it 2D or 3D? I would say, I think the 2D models are more expensive than 3D models. If I'm wrong, then please call me an idiot. But, Just a second. But given what Charlotte does very, very, like Charlotte Van Helen, it really annoys me these people have the same name. Charlotte Van Helen charges $6,000 for a fully rigged, fully designed 2D model. And that is, she has the commercial license, she does the artwork, she does the accessories, and she does the rigging. And she's a professional artist. She is in art college at the moment, and her drawing skills are very good. $6,000 is a steal, and she actually has said to me, it's basically the equivalent of minimum wage. She should be charging more for it, but she is a very nice woman, and I really like her. So she only charges about $6,000 for the complete package. $6,000, you get a pretty damn high quality live 2D with art, commercial license, and everything. 3D on Etsy is cheaper than anything. Can you give some examples, Pazkov? I'm curious. 3D is usually cheaper in many places. I know for 2D, Shy Lily has $25,000 model. I mean, yes, but Shy Lily has the audience to justify it. I know VTubers out there who have spent $10,000 and more on their model, on their background, on their rigging, etc. And they stream to an audience of less than 150 people. $70 USD. Are you in my Discord? If you are in my Discord, then could you drop a link in like Stream Material or some other prominent channel that doesn't move too fast? Because I would like to examine that. I know there are resources out there that show decent prices. I think she's called Nayumi or something, has a list of relatively cheap people for modeling and rigging and so forth. But 40 to 70 USD is so cheap that I would consider something like that if it was okay quality. Allow me to just make a quick poll. How much for a starting VTuber rig is acceptable? I just want to get people's opinions here. 100, 500. I'm fairly sure that people will VTuber outlast. I'll just put it out there and get people to see what they say. I'm fairly sure that most people will vote low, but I'm just curious because you never know. You never know. The silent majority might disagree. If I remember correctly, you really shouldn't spend more than $3,000 on the entire setup, and you should probably use a C artist, not for the price, but the work ethic. I have heard it is recommended to get cheap models for starting to try. Yes, like, from my perspective, I am never going to spend more than a few $100s on pretty much anything that I buy, because I don't have the money. $10,000 is pretty much my entire current account. I am not going to be spending... I would probably, at the absolute most, be willing to invest about $1,000 into a VTuber setup, as in, and for that I would be expecting at least a very high quality PNG with a few options and toggles like Shindigs makes. And I would, and by entire setup I'm including the phone, the computer and phone. Yeah, about $1,000. I think I do have a phone that would work for an L2D. But again, a PNG would be ultimately preferable. A PNG operated by a Steam Deck with a few toggles and model and expressions and so on would actually be pretty cool. Rigging and art, you'll be lucky around the low 1000s. If you want something similar to the ones you've seen in Corpos, something stylized could get you less easily. Yeah, I don't want anything particularly complicated. I know quite a few streamers that used PNG until they made enough to live off of streaming, then got a model. Yeah, I would be quite happy with that too. I actually do have a new PNG in the works. In fact, I technically have two because somebody else has expressed an interest in working on one for me as well. So you might see a Proctor 2.0 at some point in the next couple of months, but I cannot guarantee anything. And I am very picky. I have absolutely no idea what kind of design I want to go with eventually. And it's also difficult because I'm going through a transitionary period in my life anyway. With my whole, I've been doing so much more exercise and I've been getting out more, and I really feel as if my whole bodily image of myself is transforming slowly but surely. I said on Kirsch's stream a week or so ago because she had another period about talking about people who didn't feel good about themselves, and I said in her chat, no more Draco big whale, please. Do not. I'm going to time you out again. Actually, no, I wouldn't time people out over that. And she said, a lot of people don't feel worthy of a relationship. And I said, I think that it is the duty of every person who does not feel as if they are worthy of a relationship to immediately sit down and think very carefully about what they can start doing tomorrow that would make them feel worthy of a relationship. And I said that out of experience, because I have been trying very hard to make myself into a person that is worthy of a relationship. Because when I started TVA, I had very little experience with reaching out to people and connecting with them on the internet. I had close friend groups, yes, but I had very little social understanding, even on internet culture. And I always felt as if I was at a disadvantage in pretty much every way, except my speaking ability and my charisma. Because I like to think of myself as a decently charismatic person and a good speaker. And I started connecting with people and talking to them, and I realized how many advantages I actually have. I've had a very good upbringing. I live in the countryside. I am more or less able to live without serious work. I don't need a job to sustain my lifestyle. I have lots of educational opportunities. And mostly what was holding me back in life was this sense of listlessness and aimlessness, because I am naturally a very contented person. I don't need much to live a life. I don't crave very much. Give me a fast PC and a decent internet connection, and I'll put up with a hell of a lot of negative circumstances. And after I'd been exposed to so many people, because Kirsch's audience is great for attracting doomers. She has an awful lot of black-pilled people in her chat. And I talked to a lot of these people, and I've always been relatively optimistic. And I very quickly started getting very distressed over just how red-pilled everybody really was, how doomeristic people were, and how she could talk to these people for hours and hours at a time about how they just needed to change little bits of themselves, or they just needed to have a bit more faith in themselves, and they would be able to get a woman, or at the very least measurably improve their lifestyles. And every time you'd have them writing this almost... There are some people that literally write borderline incel spiel in her chat about how it's hopeless, there's no such thing, the dating culture is terrible, which it is just completely correct. How their lives are awful, the economy is crashing and everything, so there's no point. Just sit back, just enjoy what you have, and don't think very much. But I looked at all those people and I thought, I have no right to be lazy any longer. I have no right to be a lesser person in my life because I have so many advantages. And so pretty much 12 months ago, I decided I'm done with being like that. I want to be better in every way. I want to get more exercise. I want to educate myself. I want to look at my prospects for a career. I want to be a worthy person. I want to wake up in the morning and feel as if I have made tangible progress towards a better future. And I really credit Kirsche for being able to encourage me to do that. Proctor, I can guarantee we play up doomerism. We are not as doomer as we pretend to be for Kirsche. Finana would be proud of you for educating yourself. Thrang, I hope that Pippa joins Idlecore. But yeah, anime women on the internet have been objectively a good thing for me. That's pretty much what I can say in the end. I'll just close this poll now because it's been up for a few minutes. Have a quick look at the results. Yeah, actually, a surprising number of people said between $1,000 and $2,000, and 12% even said $3,000. Yeah. It's hard to be optimistic when you keep getting kicked in the teeth. You should still try because it's your duty as a man to improve, but I understand where they're coming from. Yeah, my attitude has always been, there have been a great number of people in my life. I used to see them an awful lot when I roleplayed, because roleplaying has always been a refuge for people that have terrible lives. It's just, you cannot be a good role player without at least one mental illness. Exactly the same as VTubing. The overlap between role players and VTubers is absolutely absurd. I had no idea that my particular skill set of talking with very disturbed autistic people would come so massively in handy when I transitioned from role-playing to watching VTubers and interacting with the VTuber community. It has unironically been the equivalent of a psychology course. But I used to be with a lot of people who were, well, crazy. But they always had a kind of selfish attitude. And they always anthropomorphized their circumstances. As in, if they had a bad day, it wasn't that they had a bad day, it's that the world itself had made them have a bad day. And they bundled up all of their negative circumstances in life. And they created an alternate persona about it. And embodied it. And it was a massively damaging thing for them. Because every time something negative happened to them, they didn't look at it as an isolated incident. They looked at that bad thing as the hand of a darker entity that always existed in their life, reaching out to give them a punch in the face or a kick in the groin. And so, in the end, they were like, Justin T, yo Proctor, good to catch you live. Gonna have to double back to catch the stream on Yuko's grad later, see what WTF happened there. Funny thing about bad days, been a bad year so far. I'm very sorry for you, Justin T. I definitely hope your year improves. Irie was talking about wanting to try tabletop the other night. Clara pointed out that she's got her choice between Lumi, Dizzy, Pippa, and Rudy for TMs. Yeah, I know, there's an awful lot of TTRPG people. The trouble is, there are very few DMs. Pretty much everybody. I think it's... Ironically, let me just say this. I don't have much experience with the BDSM community. However, the disturbing fact is an awful lot of role players are also erotic role players, or at the very least they started as regular role players and they turned into erotic role players. And from my limited amount of contact with that space, the number of people that are submissive versus the number of people that are dominant is something like 99% to 1%. Most VTubers create a detailed backstory and then just play the equivalent of Bob from accounting. Yeah, it's very... Well, role-playing is difficult. Role-playing is very difficult, and I can understand why it's difficult for some people. It's hard to explain good role-playing, because there's an awful lot of bad role-playing out there. How on earth are you an apparent femboy with no experience with BDSM? I didn't say I had no experience with BDSM. I said I had no experience with the BDSM community. There is a difference, okay? Like, there is a reason that I like Dizzy's model so much, and I prefer the model with the toggles on as opposed to the toggles off, shall we say. But moving on from that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was talking about these guys that I met who conceptualized everything wrong in their life as a external force that was attacking them. And after a while, every time they were kicked down in life, they would say something along the lines of, oh, the world, as in a concept, is just out to get me. There's no point in me getting up. The world has it out for me. And they will kick me down again and again and again. And it was really hard for me to ever convince them that, no, it's always going, every time you're kicked down in life, the world immediately forgets you exist. When you're down, nobody cares. There is no force that is standing over you and waiting for you to climb back to your feet, explicitly waiting for you to do that so they can kick you down again. No. What kicked you down is now gone. It's your choice to stand up again and get on with your life. But every single time you take something negative that happened to you and add it and pin it on this mental wall you have, which is basically a mental conspiracy board where every negative thing in your entire life is tied to every other negative thing with red string. All you're doing is setting yourself up for permanent failure. And that negative thing in your mind is far worse and far bigger than anything that is actually holding you back in life. Zen Gunman, your first character. My character is a noble knight. Your 12th character. My character is a shrieking mutant that lives in a hole in the ground. That was the funniest thing. I once played a female character in a role-playing game. And I explicitly... It was a mecha RPG, actually. Sorry, one second. There was a mecha RPG that I played. It was actually like a Super Robot Wars game. And I really love Super Robot Wars games. And I really have wanted to turn Super Robot Wars into a tabletop role-playing game for a very long time. I actually have like a prototype rule set up for it. It's not too complicated for relatively low intensity, but more focused on the narrative of Super Robot Wars combat rather than the stats, because I find things like Lancer and so forth are so heavily invested into the stat side of things that you lose the magic of a Super Robot Wars style setting, where it doesn't make sense that Gundams are fighting Gao Gaigar, but they somehow make it work with the narrative, and I prefer that, the more narrative side of things, to the more stat-based kind of things. It's true, the way my character's evolved over time is basically the same as Danny DeVito's character in Always Sunny. That happens. I want to have a kid of every race. Good luck. Good luck playing the human version of gacha pulling, I suppose. But yeah, I was playing this Super Robot Wars style game. And I specifically designed a character who was a super soldier, who had been abducted as a child, who had been ruthlessly experimented on as a child, and had been systematically trained to be a remorseless, murderous psychopath of a character. She was so violent that if she got angry, she would just run off into the wilderness in her giant mech and just exterminate a random village to feel better. And she could get away with that because she had a stealth mech. So nobody noticed, like, the fact that occasionally villages in the vicinity of the base would just randomly vanish and everybody in them would be killed, because that was how she channeled her aggression. Because she knew that she had to work with people in order to, like, in order to survive, basically. This was a kind of pseudo-post-apocalyptic setting. And so there was this unambiguously violent psychopath, and I was directly playing her as a violent psychopath. But the thing was, I have a decent understanding of psychology. And I understand that psychopathy is not just the idea of, you know, you're a horrible person all the time. And so I had her be also pretty decent at cloaking herself. Like, she was a pretty funny character. She could be friendly, she could be playful, she could be silly, in a kind of Josh Whedon style way. Again, I was like in my very early 20s when I played this, so like, my humor was still pretty juvenile at that point, but people quite liked her. And somehow, she became the therapist of the team. Because everybody else was just like, oh, that character right there, you know, she's really happy about everything. She seems to be pretty balanced, and she always gives us good advice. So when we have relationship issues or something, we'll go to her and talk to her about them. And I was just like, guys, I actually roleplayed it with her as well. She was, in the end, she kind of broke herself into it after a while, because she was like, yeah, apparently, in order to work with these people, I have to be their part-time therapist. And because I have literally no other options, I'm going to give a go at it. And people were like, yeah, this is actually really good because she's honest with us. She doesn't lie about it. She doesn't say, oh, our relationship problems are really bad or terrible or everything. She says, like, blunt and honest. She gives her blunt, honest interpretations of things. So she's a really great person. And so despite the fact that she was still a literal violent psychopath, she had a higher reputation than any other member of the party. Because every other member of the party was the stereotypical kind of edgy emo character, not edgy, but like emo character, played by a bunch of people who had no experience with relationships at all. And, you know, because it was very early 20s, these were a bunch of nerds. You know, everybody was constantly getting into these weird pseudo in-character, out-of-character relationships with their characters and then having issues and problems. And every single time that happened, they just go to my character and be like, hey, you give good advice. What's your advice? How do we solve this? And it was just such a bizarre experience to realize that because I'd been brought up in a decent family with parents who talked to me properly, that I could roleplay a character who was a murderous psychopath. And I was intentionally playing her as a murderous psychopath. And yet in her downtime, she was still more stable and able to give more objective, intuitive, good advice on relationships than the people around her who were ostensibly relatively normal. That experience always stuck with me. It was my first major experience of realizing just how messed up the average role player is. And just how messed up the average person who is terminally online is. Because I was terminally online because I lived in a field, basically. I lived in the middle of nowhere on a giant farm with no social life, with no children of my own age for like miles in any direction. And I was homeschooled, so I didn't go to school. I didn't have a friend group. I was just like, guys, please. I just want to be a happy murder woman. Please, stop that. I used to RP with the vamp communities. You want narcissistic shrew? Holy shit. First character, a mighty wizard. 15th character, I took paladin vows because it got me away from my overly protective elf mom. 30th character, I'm Bob the mercenary. I'm sad that I don't have more opportunities to roleplay nowadays, because I feel like probably my standards are far too high nowadays. I could never go back to that kind of roleplaying that I did back then. Because I'm very big into major, intricate Game of Thrones style settings. I love roleplaying and DMing situations that are very political and very complicated. And everybody, don't you RP in Discord? No. I used... Let me just look it up. For a long time, I roleplayed on Neverwinter Nights. Give me just one moment to look this up. Steam Neverwinter Nights. No, this thing. I'm not logged in. I just make sure I don't dox my Steam account by opening this in a new tab. So give me just 1 second, please. Good. Yeah, this is what I played on for many years as a role player, because NWN has role-playing servers to this day.
You are a welcome sight as always.
Why do they have that terrible music? Why do they have the final boss music playing over this thing? Can this enlarge? No, it's just a... NWN was my goat. This came out in 2002. It's still one of the best role-playing games ever made, because it's the only like major role-playing game that supports The NWN toolset is one of the most powerful game, custom modding clients I've ever used in my entire life, and it's incredibly good. And I played this game for something like 10 years. I've got something like 8,000 hours in it, because I used to play it on Xfire, and I played it after Xfire died. I played it on Steam a whole bunch. RP IRL outside, get a kippa or Yamaha and wear it outside every so often. NWN was wild back then. Hurry up and become a proper VTuber so you can offer your services as a DM for hire. Procty, you tried to initiate roleplay with me on December 10th, 2023. I've been a semi-pro DM. It's not as fun as it seems like it would be. I enjoy being a player. I'm a forever DM because I tend to have very highly advanced concepts in mind when I roleplay, and I've literally exhausted DMs before. I've had DMs tell me, look, could you please stop doing all this stuff in the game? Can you please stop trying to, like, start enclaves and start spy networks and, like, do obscure magical research on everything? Because I have no idea what to say. You're going places that I never imagined that anyone would go in this setting. You're supposed to just go over there and kill this dragon, all right? You have a minimum of organizational skills, you tend to end up as a DM. Yeah, exactly. I was the one that organized everything in every game. Again, I would play as a player in a bunch of like, I think you would call them like multi-user dungeons back then, stuff like that. And in the end, I was the only one that ever did anything, because everybody was just like, hey, you know, Proctor Zakharov, that guy, he does like 4 times the amount of world building that anybody else does, including the DM. So, yeah, DM was just like, yeah, you take over, you're fine. I was just like, guys, I don't want, I'm enthused and I'm energetic because I'm working with other people and not controlling them. I have a great way to introduce new players to Vampire the Masquerade. I have the players build completely normal people and then local vampires throw a shuffle party for them. I'm forever DM because no one wants to DM, so I'm forced to, or else I have no games. Yeah, I know. I'm very annoyed. I kind of halfway do it. I quite often DM, but I also play, like, I roleplay as support characters as well, so I get a bit of role-playing action and I get to DM too, and I consider myself to be pretty good. A lot of DMs like a power trip and if they make their own player characters, they then make their own player characters incredibly overpowered and impossible to kill, whereas mine actually is, I prefer DMing for my own, I prefer playing a character and a DM, because to me, if I'm the DM and I'm seen to be playing favorites for my own character, that's going to make other people resent me very fast. And I'm the DM. I don't need to make my own character head of the story that I am playing. That's retarded. That's completely retarded. You need a co-DM to alternate sessions, weave it into political menagerie by playing 2 camps. Yes, that's absolutely fantastic. I have done that. I've been able to do that once or twice. It has been the best role-playing of my entire life. I always RP as myself because my life is a roleplay. JJJ Schmidt, vampire lawyer. My name is your name too. I need to do a proper role-playing stream where I just talk about my experiences a lot more and the crazy stuff that I've seen over my years. And well, I'll need my friend Alex as well, because my friend Alex was... I wouldn't say professional. There's no such thing as a professional PvP guy in Neverwinter Nights, but he was as close to a professional PvPer in Neverwinter Nights role-playing servers you could possibly get. And there are servers where he has been banned something like 5 or 6 times because he would just roll in with the PvP builds and just steamroll everything with him and his crew. He would still roleplay. He was very good at roleplaying. He would just go into roleplay servers that allowed PvP, and yeah, old orders very quickly fell. There are still statues to his characters in some Neverwinter Nights servers. I should go around and look at those some days. He's had a lot more impact than I do. I've mostly been around various different communities, but I've never had a massive impact in them, I would say, except for one, which is honestly a little bit too personal to talk about. A very sad and miserable business. Last VTM group I had was way too horny, and that was IRL, so it was creepy AF. The reason why I was horny is because of White Wolf product. Yeah, I don't really like White Wolf products, I'll be honest. I've never really into vampire or werewolf or Call of Cthulhu or anything like that. It's just would like to hear your ideas on how to initiate a politics-heavy campaign. I'm literally working on a Super Robot Wars style thing that I swear I will do at one point someday, maybe. I'm still writing the lore for it, which is massive and overly complicated, so nobody will ever read it. I also quite like, I'm massively a fan of post-apocalypse. I adore post-apocalypse settings completely. I love settings where the old order has crumbled and it's up to the players to create a new order. That is what I live for. Roleplay stories are fun stories you can only tell certain people, yeah. Because to me, I don't like it where a game is just go here, kill big bad guy, or discover a big bad guy and then kill him, or deliver magical artifact so and so and then use it to kill bad guy or whatever, or save the princess or whatever. That doesn't interest me. What I want to do is just lay out what amounts to I love a role-playing sandbox, where it's just like, there's these things in the sandbox, and I want the players to build the biggest and most complicated castle they possibly can, while I throw stones at the castle to see if they've built it well enough to stand up to my stones, basically. That's what I love role-playing. I love it. The trouble is that the people that are interested in those stories tend to be hyper paranoid. That's the problem. That's what ruined my experience with all that stuff, because they tended to be incredibly paranoid and very distrustful. And to be in any kind of, so we say, competitive role-playing environment, you need to have a lot of social nuance that most role players did not have. Most role players just wanted to be the protagonist of their own story, and any setback was an automatic reason to hate everyone else, to scream, to overthrow the table and walk off. Whereas I love setbacks. I loved it every time my character was just like put in a bad situation, because then I was like, I have to write my way out of this, and I have to write my way out of this well. I love it. You see, this is why you need to run mage games, because you can have the universe slap them in the face with paradox. Mage is my favorite RPG of all time, so as the players just needs to walk into the DM's trap. Yeah, people were very annoying. I've had so many experiences with stupid people in role-playing. It's just really upsetting, honestly. I like that too, rebuilding from the ashes type. Hell yeah, I love that. What was I going to say? I've completely forgotten now, which was very irritating. The last time I ran a World of Darkness game and players massively broke the masquerade, which was especially impressive because we were playing werewolf. Another thing that I've liked, that I've enjoyed playing in the past, is actually magical girl role-playing. Where, and when I say magical girl, it's like the genre, where the idea is that, and I don't mean magical girl as in always magical girl, it doesn't matter, it's just the style, where there's monsters that are invisible to normal people, and you have to play characters that go and fight them and kill them and protect normal people, but it has to be done in secret, and there's risks to it and everything. I quite enjoyed that. That was quite fun. I did that a couple of times, and some people exploded, and I remember, wasn't there... There's a name for it, Magical Girl something or other. It's an actual tabletop setting. And it's basically like based on Madoka Magica, where you have magical girls that need to fight monsters in order to get new powers to live. The Dark Wizard Magical Girl green text is hilarious. I've never read that green text, actually, Danny D. If you can send it to me on Discord, I'll be interested in it. And I just remember that game ended when so there are roles in that game where basically your character gets too much power and they have to roll to avoid exploding. And it's also a game with exploding dice. And exploding dice are where if you roll a 6 or whatever number is on whatever the max number is, you roll the dice again. So this guy who was role-playing one of these characters in one of these Magical Girl RPGs, he had like a power overload event where he rolled the dice to see how bad it was, and he got exploding dice. And then he got exploding dice again. Magical Burst. I think it was Magical Burst. Yes, let me just look up Magical Burst. Magical Burst TTRPG rules. Because I'm curious, it's been so long ago. It's been so long ago that I can't remember. Was it? When was this? Magical Burst 4.0. Magical World. I'll put this up on screen because I'm very curious where this thing actually happened. Boundaries, secrets, talents, episodes, transforming battles. Is it Fallout? Girls shed overcharge through Fallout. Fallout is the unwanted side effects of using magic and fighting Yoma. Such side effects can warp reality, affect girls' behavior, including magical. Unleash raw destructive powers. Overcharge, Fallout, yeah. Like, he did something where he rolled a 10 on his Fallout thing. And then there was some circumstance in play that was like, this keeps going as long as you keep rolling 10s. And he rolled something like 3 10s in a row and ended up exploding in a nuclear level detonation that wiped out the entire city that they were playing in. And the DM was like, yeah, you just destroyed the entire setting. The game is over. I've done a magical girl RPG in college. I played a crusty Vietnam vet who got stuck in the body of a magical girl who had the record for the most kills in combat with an E-tool/shuffle. I've heard of Princess the Hopeful too. Maybe I'll look into that a little bit. Because again, I really like magical girl settings because they're really fun. He Walpurgised it. Yeah, he literally did Walpurgised it. It was like the unluckiest set of dice rolls possible, and they were all just like 10s in a row, and he couldn't stop rolling 10s for neither love nor money. The time. I think technically the PCs did survive, but the DM was like, yeah, you've just destroyed the entire city. There's not much further we can go. So, yeah, bye. Which, you know, fair enough. That happens. Where, and oh yeah, there was, now that we've had a lot of fun and games, I think we should move on to the disturbing part of the night. Allow me to, well, we've already had disturbing with the whole vagina weightlifting stuff, but no, this is the kind of lose faith in your humanity stuff. Which is where it is. Oh, I've got messages. Just 1 second. Let me just look at what I've been sent. 1 moment, please. Share to post. Aha! Excellent. Fantastic. Sorry about that. Slight disruption. New. A man is paid $900,000 for psychological torture after police forced him to give a false confession that he killed his own father. This makes me so mad. Investigators reportedly threatened to kill his dog, claimed his dad was dead, and said they had evidence he killed him. One problem: his dad was alive. Thomas Perez Jr. called the police after his father went missing in Fontana, California. Oh, California. Police brought him into the station where he was interrogated for 17 hours. They told him that his father was dead, and they had his body, which was at the morgue, with a toe tag. Police tried convincing Perez that his mind was playing tricks on him, and it was suppressing troubling memories like killing his dad. They also brought his dog into the interrogation room so he could say goodbye to it, as they threatened to euthanize it. How can you sit there? How can you sit there and say you don't know what happened, and your dog is sitting there looking at you, knowing that you killed your dad? Look at your dog. She knows, because she was walking through all the blood, they said. Perez eventually confessed and tried to kill himself by hanging in the interrogation room. Perez's father eventually turned up alive. He had walked to the train station in Fontana and traveled to Los Angeles County to visit a relative. He later went to the airport to fly to Oakland to visit his daughter before police found him. Jesus Christ. Yes. I don't take the Lord's name in vain, but which one was the good cop? Just a reminder where this took place. This took place in California. You know, I remember back when the whole defund the police thing was going, and now a whole bunch of people were standing up and saying, no, the cops do very good work. We love the police. The police are good. The police are professionals and wonderful, and they're awesome. And now, I would be very surprised if there are many people who defended the police during the defund the police movement who would still defend them today. Now, on a logical societal level, there is a need for policing. There is no doubt. There is a need for prisons. There is no doubt. Well, I actually disagree with the idea of prisons, but that's for a different reason. And of course, you have plenty of nonsense like restorative justice and other insanity of that like, or disarming the police, which I just don't agree with, because, yeah, mad people with guns are a thing. But this, and as it says, he was given $900,000. Do you think that $900,000 is acceptable compensation for what happened to this poor guy? Because I don't think so. This guy was tortured in an interrogation room. If I was told this kind of thing, it would only be my faith in God that would prevent me from killing myself. Only my faith in God. If they told me my parents had died and I was now facing jail time for murdering them, there's a very good book on just how we got here by Radley Balko entitled The Rise of the Warrior Cop. I highly recommend it. I will put that on my reading list. Give me a second. How much is a life worth? Ask Econman for that. Let me just put that into my Google search bar so I can look at this later. The Rise of the Warrior Cop. The Militarization of America's Police. I will definitely read this. 2013, so it's relatively recent too. Yeah, I will give this a read. I will see if I can get it from the usual sources. The police unions are effed, we pay taxes, and it goes to them. I was never pro-police, come from a libertarian family. I hope the right realized in 2020, 2021 that the police aren't your friend. No, we need more screening and training for the police, better incentives for actually doing a good job. 900,000 and 10 years imprisonment of the police involved, preferably in a jail of people they've put away. I can get behind that. The result of things like defund the police tend to be that the agencies and departments are purged of people who would stop these sorts of abuses by the politicians and careerists. He saw all this shit coming. Also, when this sort of things happens, every case they worked on needs to be re-examined. I agree, it's tragic, it's really, really terrible. Where did I... There was something that I was going to comment on, and once again, it has gone completely out of my head, which is very, very annoying. Oh, yeah. My brother works in the police force, actually. He is not a policeman, but he is a legal representative that works on a lot of police cases. He works with trading as well, trading standards enforcement. The Proctor law deepens. And he has some very fun stories about how lazy the British police are. Cops in prison fare only slightly better than lolly aficionados. Damn, I knew this was a honeypot. No, don't worry, he's not in the police force itself, but he's a barrister, basically. He's a barrister. And he says the stuff that he has seen is just crazy. There was once a case where the police did a major seizure of an illegal goods workshop, which was producing like fake goods. And they had something like £500,000 worth of cash on hand. And obviously, this £500,000 of cash had to be seized as evidence. And when it got back to the police station, it got around that there was £500,000 of evidence just sitting in a locker somewhere. And one guy, of course, tried to just steal it. He was an active police officer, long standard record. He just tried to steal it. He was caught on his way. He literally just opened the locker, put the money in the briefcase, and then walked out. But poor Ian, I said barrister, as in legal barrister, you nutcase. And he said that was pretty common. Like, cops would just walk out with items from the evidence locker all the time. If it was jewelry, it would be stolen. If it was, you know, firearms, they'd vanish. All this kind of stuff. It was very common, very constant, just completely standard practice. And my brother is very careful with all this stuff because, you know, he's a Christian as well. He's an honest man. He's you know, that's the worst thing that someone connected to the police can ever be, is an honest man. He is not well liked for that reason. And he also says that it's almost impossible to get them to prosecute anyone because he's had cases where he knows for a fact that there are gigantic illegal goods operations active in a place that are turning over £1 million every week in fake goods. And he has had to wait for 9 months for the police to organize a raid for those places because they cannot be asked. They just cannot be asked. They don't care at all. But I think that there were some districts in Britain last year that did not report a single successful prosecution for theft. Not a single one. In some counties in England, your chances of getting away with a theft were 100%. Not a single prosecution. Like, you could be arrested sometimes, but prosecuted? No. You were just going to be let straight back onto the street. And when you have those situations, why would you obey the rule of law? Count Dankula did a video on the Sheffield Stadium tragedy. The police are disgusting, drug testing dead children. Yep, I know. Anything to pump the numbers. I have great respect for the few good police that are out there, but there aren't many. There really aren't many. And this is why don't talk to the police. And I hope people understand that. I hope people realize that. You don't talk to the police. Get an attorney. Don't talk to the police. Even if you're, especially if you're innocent. If you are innocent, don't talk to the police. There's whole streets full of hairdressers or tourist merch that's set up for a month and F off after laundering everything because they know how long it takes before anything actionable is done. Yeah, we are no different from China. No different from China now. That's how bad things are. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I mean, in fairness to the British police, they have a full schedule rounding up people who reposted rap lyrics on social media. I really don't want to even get into it. Why am I being beeped again in my own Discord? Oh, I think that's the thing. Cops like this need to be stopped. The distressing video shows Missouri cop gunned down, lost 13-pound deaf and... Just a moment, please. Oh, Pippa responded to this. Damn. Does this open... I've never opened a trib.al link, so let me just open it on my regular browser before... Oh, it just links to the NYC. Is it seriously going to... Warning distressing content. Yeah, viewer discretion advised if you don't like to see doggos... Well...
Oh, baby.
Well, I'm glad that it didn't show the actual shooting. I don't know how good the police is in my country, won't say, but I'd rather have to deal with them over the massive crime statistics over here. I mean, yeah, I'd rather deal with the police than a criminal, put it that way. This kind of thing really disturbs me. This is genuinely... I'm actually glad that my dog... Well, one of my dogs died recently, because this was consistently something I genuinely worried about. Because I don't care really if I ever get doxxed. Being doxxed is not gonna cause me an existential crisis, put it that way. I don't want to be doxxed, but I'm just saying it's not going to significantly affect my life in all probability. I'm certainly not going to try and farm pity points off it. It's such a cute and fluffy thing. Why would he do that? It's just walking. Yeah, if that was like a Doberman Pinscher or something, I could at the very least understand the idea of fearing for his life. Because, you know, a Doberman acting like that, I would genuinely be worried. Like, is this thing rabid? Is it psychotic or something? This is an example of where I hope AI comes into play. It would be great if there was something actively watching the body cams and immediately report stuff like this. I sincerely doubt AI would be able to do that because it's a bit too... maybe at some point, but I understand what you're trying to say, and I do agree in principle. So I made friends with an officer at my workplace, and he said when serving warrants, they would use pepper spray on hostile dogs to subdue them. You don't need to shoot them. Yeah, I mean, pepper spray on a dog well, they won't put it down, but it will... no dog is gonna be happy with being pepper sprayed. My only worry would be that, with something, you might piss it off more than it would actually work. This is why we need screening for police. This is serial killer stuff. It wouldn't be 100% correct, but it would raise a flag and make a human look. Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. I mean, again, I think that it would be better than nothing. Put it that way. And there's absolutely nothing. But yeah, this was I think it was a Bichon Frise. If you watch the video, the dog is very playful and happy and kind of turned his head when he knows somebody's there, looking for something to touch him as he's always done. Blind and deaf. His demeanor in the whole video is non-aggressive, never branches his teeth and barks or growls, zero aggression, which I expected with Teddy. That's how he's always been. Hunter is planning to sue the city of Sturgeon, who has staunchly defended its officer's actions in the days since its shooting, sparking outrage. I agree. He was eating dinner... Yeah, it's a Shih Tzu. I thought it was a Bichon. But didn't even... It was very shocking. It was rough to hear. At first I was kind of like, no, it must be somebody else's dog. It must be a mistake. When the grieving owner arrived at the scene, the cop admitted that Teddy hadn't posed a threat, but explained that he thought the pup was stray and appeared sick. Hunter then incredulously asks, so you're putting the dog, out of its misery? With the officer shockingly replying, what am I supposed to do? We don't have freaking animal control? To add insult to injury, the cop then slapped Hunter with a dog-at-large sight. This man is a psychopath. 2 years old. Oh, that's such a shame. If this had been like a 13-year-old dog, then, well, it would still be terrible, but at the very least it lived a full life. But 2 years is nothing for, like, a Shih Tzu. They can easily last 15 years if you take care of them properly. The proper response would have been to call city or country animal control. Philadew will have a bad day with the pepper spray, but it won't go viral. True. And this is very depressing stuff, and again, it's why I think that every person has a responsibility for their own defense and livelihood. Again, I don't think that there is any... In a perfect world, nobody should ever have any reason to kill any other person, obviously, but we don't live in a perfect world, so... Yeah. This is very sad. Pippa was too easy in her response. I think just give the guy a Canadian healthcare plan effective immediately. They can have different standards for treating stray dogs in the country. Posted the green text. Okay. Dark Wizard is a magical girl babysitter. Let's have a look at this. How long is this? Fairly long. Be me. Have a friend who runs various online games. Suggests I join his newest one, a BESM game. Tells me it's grimdark, apocalyptic demons and monsters and shit running around the ruins of civilization, SMT basically. Tells me a plan to plan accordingly in character creation. I create a demonologist. Studies ancient scripts to wield demonic power against humanity's enemies. Join the game. Modern day Tokyo. The other characters are magical girls. Realize my friend is a filthy liar. Refuse to acknowledge anything is wrong. Won't give him the satisfaction. The game continues. I turn out to be one of the most suited to surviving daily life. Can hold down a job, afford a home, etc. Magical girls keep coming to my house, won't leave. Other players think my stern, research-minded demonologist is hilarious. Magical girls always getting into hijinks trying to cheer him up, making little costumes for his unholy minions, asking him to join in on the magical girl motto before fighting monsters/villains. I was mad at first, but it got funny. That's actually really nice. I think that's... I'm not sure if it's true because it's a green text, but it's really funny. I like that. And again, I like that kind of humor as well. A lot of people, the trouble is, a lot of role players that I know would be really pissed off at that and be like, oh no, you have to get into the spirit of the setting. And I find that, I think you should hit those people. Are you going to bury us in nettle bushes, Proctor? What are people in the Discord? Why am I culling people in the Discord? Why are there so many new people today? Oh yeah, did multiple people like join? Oh, we've got 2 people join. I see. Yeah, that's because I asked them to join to post stuff. That makes sense. I love just scrolling through the Discord while I'm streaming and seeing the nonsense that people are... For some reason, every time I go and stream, people in the Discord just get wild for some reason. Did you see that one tweet about the 44 rules one DM posted to his group? No, I didn't. I have not. I would be more than happy to look at that tweet. I'd be annoyed about being misled by the GM. I would be annoyed, but again, at that point, I would have had the sunk cost going, and I would have tried to roll with it. And I think, again, this guy, if it's true, he did the right thing. And it seems like that's the kind of player, this kind of player is the one that you really should hold on to like gold dust. Depends on the GM, it's a pretty mild prank, all things considered. Yeah, I think that's pretty mild. I think it's cute. Has anybody here ever watched Battlestar Galactica? Battlestar Galactica was one of my favorite shows when I was young. I watched the original Battlestar Galactica on DVD when it came out. Not when it came out, because that was in the 1970s, but when it came out on DVD. And then I watched the new version of Battlestar Galactica, and I thought it was really good overall. It had a few bad moments. I thought the ending was shit. The ending was shit, and the religious elements were shit. I hated them all. But the actual narrative and storyline of the new BSG was very good. I liked that right up until the very end, because the whole thing with the settling and giving up all technology on planet Earth, bullshit, nonsense, rubbish. But I would really, really love to play a BSG-style role-playing game one day, to DM for that, where it's basically you're part of the last remnants of civilization with one ship and a bunch of civilians, or maybe a small fleet. Another option might be a Space Battleship Yamato-style setting where Earth has been destroyed and you've got to shepherd the survivors to a new planet. And you have to make hard decisions on how to deal with things like food shortages and enemy attacks and so on. It's something like that with giant mecha. Something like that with giant mecha would be absolutely fantastic. I would love that. The OG BSG, at least, was made by Mormons, and Mormons have a habit of slipping Mormonism into their creative output. I really liked the original BSG. The original BSG had a lot of heart and soul in it. I really, really enjoyed it. You might be able to use Traveler rules for that. I've never looked at Traveler. I've dealt with this for a while because I'm also a Dragonlance fan. I see. I'll be honest, if BSG had a lot of Mormon theology in it, I was fine with that, because the Mormon the theological elements of the original BSG, I quite liked. I really did like them. I thought the new BSG, the theology was completely token and rubbish. I was okay with the idea of the original BSG having like the Ship of Lights and the magical space Christians or anything, or space Mormons. But I'm sorry, the new BSG, the pseudo-Christian stuff, rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I hated it. I think that they could have excised that from the setting entirely and it would be completely the same. It just made no sense. It was complete plot contrivance, convenience. The story always took a nosedive whenever the Christian symbolism was on full display. The idea of like the one true God being a weird alien being that was guiding the colonials through cycles of death and rebirth with AI. The writers admit they pulled that out of their arses. Halo has strong Christian theology themed to it. Yeah, and Halo is great. I really like the theological stuff in Halo. That's amazing. That's fantastic. Even just the Christian music stuff in Halo is great. That's wonderful. That's another game that really was able to meld the idea of theology and sci-fi together. Geez, Procty must have hated Stargate SG-1's Ori arc. I thought the Ori arc wasn't too bad, actually. I thought it was okay, average, not brilliant, but I had no problem with it. Again, I don't mind it. Again, the Ori arc, it was like, oh, religion bad, I don't mind. I don't mind. If you want to say religion is bad in a story arc, that's perfectly fine. There's plenty of bad religions out there. Hell, I am of a denomination of Christianity that, well, is one of the many denominations of Christianity that thinks all other denominations of Christianity are bad, so, or at least misguided. So, yeah, there's plenty of ways you can say religion bad in a story. I'm not going to get angry of that just because I am a religious person. I'm all aboard that. If you want to show a corrupt church in, a setting or whatever, or like an abusive religious order, I'm totally fine with that. Like, I will quite happily roll with that and be like, yeah, down with religion, because if it's bad, and it doesn't matter what god you serve. But it's when you half-arse it and you make this very weird kind of mess up that just doesn't work, doesn't really say anything, doesn't really mean anything. Because at least the original BSG and its Mormonism and stuff, you could feel it was going somewhere. Like with the whole, there was a literal devil that tried to infiltrate the colonial fleet and so on. That was fun. I wanted to see where that was going. I'm so sad the show ended so early. That was a real shame. Marty O'Donnell converted to Catholicism and is running for senator in Nevada. Half-arsing anything ruins everything. Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, people who are not religious, who try to write a religion in a setting, are very, very bad at it. And it's very awkward. And I really feel that's what happened in BSG, the sequel. Oh, sorry. Hit me. Oh dear, sorry, give me 1 second, please. Oh, there we go. Also more general Christian imagery, Huma Dragonbane striking down Tachyssis, the chief evil goddess and queen of evil dragons, straight from the Tale of St. George, yeah. The Elder Scrolls does it good. I've only played Morrowind and Oblivion. I have never played Skyrim in my life. I never intend to. I hate, what's the engine for, is it like Havoc Physics, or is it the game? No, it's not Gamebryo or whatever it is. Like the engine for the Bethesda games. It's shit. It's a terrible engine. They should stop using it. I hate playing those. I love New Vegas, but I love New Vegas because it's got a good story. Gamebryo is the core, Havoc's the physics. Okay, it was Gamebryo. I hate the Gamebryo engine. I really do. BSG, the sequel, was made by people who wanted to turn Star Trek Voyager into a grimdark survival tale, couldn't do it, and came to and used BSG to do it instead with a WOT screed. What do you mean by WOT? A Wheel of Time, do you mean? Yeah, Star Trek Voyager was my first Star Trek series. I've watched all the Star Trek series except for, I've watched everything up to Enterprise. Everything after Enterprise is shit. Don't watch it. Enterprise was really bad too. Enterprise had some terrible episodes, but not too bad. Oh, I thought you meant Wheel of Time for a second. I'm sorry, Guildmage Troy. Sucks to hear BSG falls off. I got the first few episodes a while back and thought it's bleak. This was really good. I mean, it never stops being bleak. There are some fantastic... the BSG is consistently very, very good, but the ending is terrible. I'll spoil the ending for you. They give up all technology and they go to live on Proto-Earth, that is 50,000 years in our past. That's how BSG ends. And it's a bad ending. Like, a lot of the character stuff is fantastic, but in the end, just for no reason at all, they just decide, yeah, technology bad, technology evil, we'll give everything up, and all of our people will go live as Luddites. That's the ending of BSG. And it's shit. Make up your own ending. But, like, after the final battle, the big battle between the Cylons and everything, where they, like, resolve all the plot threads at the end, just stop just before they make the very last jump of the series. And you'll know the last jump of the series. Just stop the video there. Stop watching there and go and make up your own ending. Because it'll be better than the shit ending that happens after that. Boo, talk about economics, something similarly boring, boo. We were talking earlier about Neverwinter Nights, Alex, and how there are still servers out there that have that have statues of your characters after you were banned on them. Boo, I won't get around to it until I finish Voyager anyway, which I'm struggling with right now. Are there any sci-fi shows you recommend? There's Stargate. I'm not sure if you've watched that. Stargate is pretty damn good. Apart from that, The Expanse. The Expanse is a very good modern sci-fi show. I watched pretty much all The Expanse except for the last season. That's a very good show. It's my opinion that Star Trek was good insofar as it was the product of post-World War II America with its optimism and technophobia. Enterprise was the end of that era. It's why most Star Trek properties feel so empty. Yeah, I agree. Star Trek without the optimism is just bad. It's just period bad. I hate edgy Trek. Edgy Trek can go to hell in a handcart. Apart from The Expanse, is there anything else? Yeah, I have decorated a number of servers that I am permanently banned from. One of my Aerolith paintings sold to an in-game auction recently for 8 million gold. Congratulations, congratulations. The trouble is, I can really... So you don't like DS9? I quite like DS9, but DS9 was optimistic, but in a different way. DS9 was not unoptimistic. DS9 was realistic, and I like that. I have no problem with Trek when it's realistic. But when Trek is neither realistic or optimistic, it's terrible. It's just awful. As an ex-Mormon, I will tell you that all BSG is basically Mormon deep lore. Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with Mormon theology. Like, Mormons, personally, take them or leave them, but I mean, their theology is at least fairly interesting. They've got a creative spin on things. Cool, that makes for good storytelling. That's fine by me. And you can take anything and make a good story out of it if it's got good source material. Like, you could probably make a good storyline out of the Aztec gods at some point. I'll keep up my phaser ways. DS9 was great. Yeah, DS9 was extremely good. I liked it a lot. I think that's DS9... If they had taken the core concept of DS9 forwards into Voyager, then that would have been a spectacular show. But they didn't. Voyager... Voyager had so much potential. And then Voyager still has good episodes. Voyager still has great moments and good episodes, but... Sorry, Voyager as a whole, it's just the end of good Trek. It's really sad. Just imagine that Star Trek ended after Voyager, and it's a pretty good run overall. Mormons are my favorite sci-fi series. I mean, it's not Scientology anyway. At any rate, there's a universe out there where Battlefield Earth isn't actually a good movie. I think DS9 was probably the best. It's still optimistic, but it's how would these people deal with bad things? Not everything is great except for the outsiders. Yeah, the early parts of TNG that were like that are just embarrassingly terrible. Neelix, I thought I would hate and wound up having the best episodes, while Harry and Kim I thought I would like, and they may... Whilst Harry... You're thinking of Harry Kim. Like, Harry Kim is two people. Is one person, sorry. Is one person. Kaiser's Legion is cool. Yeah, I mean, Fallout New Vegas is pretty damn good. It's a really damn good game. I like the narrative a lot. And it's one of the few games where I feel... the trouble is, in Fallout New Vegas, I take the independent route every single time. I take the independent route every single time because the trouble is with Fallout New Vegas, it has that, what I feel... that slightly annoying grey and grey morality problem where no side is actually good. And I'm a Christian. I'm a black and white morality kind of person. I really dislike it when a game says, you have a choice A and choice B, except, psych, both choices have nasty things that you can't salvage anything from, which really annoys me tremendously. Like, I tried to play Pillars of Eternity. Don't look at Warhammer. The thing is, Warhammer I don't mind, because Warhammer is unapologetically bad. Not bad, I mean, people are bad in Warhammer. I'm okay with that, I'm fine. You can have a setting where everybody is an asshole for the express purpose of having fun, without consequence. Because the Imperium is hilarious. Like, the Imperium, like, sacrifice 1 trillion people for one advantage? That's hilarious. You can't take that seriously. New Vegas tries that thing where it tries to go, reality is nitty and gritty, and people aren't black and white. There are bad people and good people on every side, and overall, all you could do is hope that the good people will be able to do good things and, like, balance out the bad people that are there. And I'm like, no, screw off. That's just life, Brock. It's a series of least worth decisions, in the words of Thomas Sowell. There are no solutions, only trade-offs. I mean, yeah, but the trouble is, with New Vegas, I feel as if there are too many things that are grey and grey for the sake of being grey. Like, it's stupid to me that you could do absolutely nothing to convince House to work with the Brotherhood of Steel rather than just kill them all. And there's no option to just tell the Brotherhood of Steel, hey guys, you know, maybe you should leave. It's all the ending. Every ending for the Brotherhood of Steel is just terrible, and there's no way to negotiate with them. There's no way to get them to leave peacefully. They're just bad, stupid idiots, and it's almost as if, yeah, it was cut, I know, but they never patched it in, even with the DLC or anything. That's really annoying. That's stupid. Nothing felt more like a waste of time than Pillars 1 side character quests, all ending non-answers with full stops, no development. What I didn't like about Pillars of Eternity was the very first town. I forget what its name was, but basically in the first town, you're asked to choose between supporting this Knight Templar character who murders people but has a really strong grasp of the rule of law. He's a paladin, basically. He's a Knight Templar paladin, and like, he's a just ruler, but he's also an incredibly harsh ruler. And he oppresses people and kills people if they do even the very small wrong things. Or you can choose his brother, who is completely corrupt, and he's shamelessly corrupt. He says, yeah, I won't oppress people, but, you know, I'm kind of an asshole, and I'm corrupt, and I'll steal money, and I'll embezzle, and he's completely transparent about this. And so my attitude was, you know what, I don't like either of you, I'm going to kill both of you. And I killed both of these idiots, because I didn't like either of them. And the game let me do that. And then the game broke. The game had no dialogue whatsoever to accommodate my choice. The game was just like, everybody still acted as if the asshole corrupt politician who I'd installed instead was still the main guy in charge. They didn't account for the fact that I killed him. And I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't want to play this game any longer. If this game cannot be asked to acknowledge something that I'm objectively able to do, I just don't want to deal with it any longer, sorry. And I never played Pillars of Eternity again. I just didn't like it. Just did not like it. Because I don't like that kind of morality. I don't like that kind of storytelling. And again, what I said about New Vegas, New Vegas at least lets you go the independent route and just take over everything, which I prefer. Because again, my argument for the independent ending being the best ending in New Vegas is that your character has agency at the end of that. You're able to do whatever you want. And of all tyrannies, a tyranny sincerely exercised with the good of its victims and made the most oppressive. It would be better to live under rubber barons than their omnipotent moral busybodies. I know that quote, but I kind of agree. But again, from a role-playing perspective in New Vegas, I don't see any reason why my character would ever accept the nonsense that is told to them by the various factions, because your character in New Vegas is a walking engine of destruction that can destroy entire towns without any difficulty. In Kirk's words, I want that third alternative. Yes. Yes, I don't want two choices. If I'm given two choices, I will always take the third. I will always take the third because I feel that's more agency. And my problems are on my own heads. PoE 2 is a lot better at that sort of thing, and just a better game in general. One thing's like was made by graduates by comparison. Yeah, that's also a problem, which is a bit upsetting and everything. Ow, 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 ow. Give me just 1 second, please. I need to look at something that's important. This is kind of irritating to me. We've covered pretty much everything that I was going to cover. It's nearly 1 a.m., so we've been talking for three whole hours or so. And I have to get up quite early tomorrow, so I think I'm going to have to end stream here before we cover the thing that I wanted to cover. Well, part of the reason I wanted to cover, because there was an article that I was going to read and comment on, but my jaw is hurting, my throat is sore. I have talked for 3 hours. I have to be up at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and it's now 1 a.m., so I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop yapping about science fiction and games like that, and just end the stream here, pretty much. And I've enjoyed this. I've definitely enjoyed this an awful lot. But Wednesday's stream will probably be about Falter if I can get people to talk to me about it. Yeah, I got a split too. It's Dizzy's Time and Invaders Waves 2 first anniversary. Yeah, so that makes sense. I mean, 3-hour streams is usually what I aim for anyway. I'm just a bit annoyed that I didn't get to everything that I wanted to. I do like to cover all the stuff that I have mentioned in my thumbnail, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Good. I want to see Tim Pool make a fool of himself in front of Trump. Oh my goodness. If that's gonna happen, then I will stay up for it. Miles Edgelord, I can't wait. Yeah, if anybody knows any more details about this Falter guy, please drop them in stream material. I want to know as much about this guy as possible, because he is an insane person, and I want to deep dive into as much about him as possible. I don't want to be like, oh, hey, this guy's done some crazy stuff, wow, let's laugh at him. No, I want to be able to actually discuss him in a nuanced and detailed fashion, so any kind of help with that. I'll even take guests on stream if people have personal experiences with him and want to talk about it. That's fine by me. Anything about him is great. So to make that absolutely abundantly clear. And what Shark in bed on whether or not she's back from or on vacation from vacation. Today I got a good laugh and learn some things. Yeah, I remember guys, get your wives to do pelvic exercise. I really want to do a stream about role-playing sometime. I really do. Right. Okay. Good night, everybody. I'm going to call things here then. Allow me to find my stream tab, which is somewhere. Where is it? I've lost my own stream tab. That's fantastic. Where is it? Ah, there it is. We got it. We got it, guys. Why is that poll still up? Did I end the poll? Apparently I didn't. Okay, that was stupid of me. I apologize. I thought I had. Good stream. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you. Book it in. RP Talk would be good. Cheers for the stream, Proctor. Yeah, I should organize it at some point. Maybe get some guests on and talk about their experiences and write down a list of the things that the crazy stuff that I've seen, done, or been part of. So good night, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Good night.